The year is 2004. I've just released my first DVD special. I am significantly fatter, and I guess I'm a better performer now than I was then, but some of the jokes are still funny. Please enjoy.
Hello. I was here last night and I did a few shows, so today's a bit less easier. This is the audience without the audience in. Oh look, Gary's a little room. It's all right. And there's a lot of people that are involved over there. I don't know. This is backstage. I'm not really sure what backstage footage is meant to involve. I'm going to do a couple of lines of coke in a minute and probably fuck a supermodel. Definitely had a key to this dressing room. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I don't want anyone to be watching this and thinking, Christ, those stars, they've got an amazing life, haven't they? Because look at their lifestyle and everything. Yeah. Come in. There's people in prison that spend their days in nicer rooms than this. Those are Apple Danish things. I'm quite fond of those. I don't know if this is the same stuff that Hitler used on his hair. Probably. It's a similar sort of cut. That's Hannah, she's my manager.
Yeah,
If you got any questions, ask her.
It's only 15% of the fruit.
Yeah. Should we make it interactive? Press the red button there if you've got a question about management. Makeup, come on. Hello. How are you?
Right.
Right.
I broke the fan.
You broke the fan?
Don't touch it. I just got one of the guys to cobble it together. Look, can you feel it?
The budget for this DVD is pretty high because
That's the air conditioner.
we've got in the air-conditioned basement of this massively hot building in June, we've got a fan.
And I broke it.
Yeah, so, do you buy the makeup in the pound shop as well?
Yes.
I want the full Dale. Yeah.
That's what you're going to
I
have.
want a full Dale. On another face painted on top of mine.
Nearly done.
Does this make me gay? Or is it the cocks in the arse? Which one is it? It's the way to the stage. Hi there, you
Because you're not using the... Stick the other lens on, give me 1 sec.
Yeah, stick another lens on.
I'm sweating. Rubbing here, isn't it?
Okay, it might be good for the back cover, you never know. Can I get these trousers changed? You know the ones that the Chippendales have got that just rip off?
Nice.
Can I get those?
I'm going to have to go now. I'll call you back.
She doesn't have to do this, you know, she's on the game.
Make more money.
Would you?
Yeah. Would I do. I mean, would I? I do. God.
What are you putting on? Just hold that colour up to the...
You wanted Dale.
It's not the colour of my face, is it?
Didn't you say Dale?
No, hang on, let's just have a look at that.
I could have sworn.
That's the colour of my skin, and that's the colour... She's painting me.
I've got
That's
to.
bordering on racism, is what that is. I'm basically being creosote.
Well, you know the black and white minstrel show's coming back. I could do that too.
That is racist. That was bordering on to what we're playing with. That is just... It's not really... I mean, I have to work with these people, but what can you do? She used to do Jim Davidson.
Oh, God.
She refused, too left wing. It's not as if a woman didn't ask me last night, is it a toupee? So...
What was that all about?
Well, my hair looks like a toupee.
No, it doesn't.
That's partly to do with you, isn't it?
Not at all.
Well, it is a bit.
I like the toupee look. Don't you think it's quite sexy?
Well, you've gone from sort of not admitting it to sort of saying, well, there's a positive.
Well, I just thought I'd better, backtrack very
Yeah, that's
quickly.
fine, isn't it?
Yeah, it does. It's great. So you're done.
Okay, I'll grab my jacket. I've got 5 minutes, and then I'll wander on and tell some jokes. Right. Now, what we've got here is a twin mic, because, for security purposes, we want 2 mic packs. So, which makes me look like I've got a massively fat arse throughout proceedings. Not that I haven't got a fat arse, but, But, I've got the J-Lo booty going on there, if I'm not very much mistaken. Does that look all right? Is it straight?
Yep, looks fine.
Ish. Easy.
No.
Easy, Tiger. Plenty of time for that. Never heard of foreplay? Well, thanks very much. But before we even start, I suppose I'd better warn you. that in my act there is a certain amount of bad language. I'm not talking about split infinitives. There will be some swearing and there is some material of a sexual nature. So if you are offended by rude or crude material, for heaven's sake, don't be a cunt about it. I was doing a gig a couple of weeks ago. I got talking to a girl in the front row. I asked her her name. She said it's Pataka. I said, that's an unusual name. You don't hear that every day. To which she replied, actually, I do. I don't know, does anyone in here use Vodafone products by any chance? Anyone? Mainly people over there. I imagine that's where the reception is best, is it? Now, I don't use Vodafone products, not because they're not good products. I'm sure they're reasonably priced. I'm sure they work reasonably well. But I don't use them because I don't like their advertising slogan. It's join the world's largest mobile community. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. That's the gypsies. No offence to you. If you want to dress in that manner and live in a lay-by, it's very much up to you. Can't believe you went like that. Well done. Good. What's your name? Scott. Scott. Well, don't feel bad about everyone laughing at you, Scott. It's fine. You and I both know they all need clothes pegs. Oh, yeah, there'll always be work for people like Scott to avoid. My father used to say, whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Till the accident. Feminists say, and you may agree with this, you may not, feminists say, a woman's work is never done. Maybe they got themselves organised a bit better. It's a bit of an icy stare you give me there, madam. What you've got to understand is that's postmodern misogyny. That joke is in fact steeped in irony. So don't you worry your pretty little head about it, love. I had one of those serious relationship conversations the other week with my girlfriend where she sat me down and talked at me for about 6 hours. I hadn't realised until then that when a man says he is spoken for, that is quite literally what he means. She said to me, Jimmy, we're at a crossroads in our relationship. Down one road is hard work and commitment, but ultimately, happiness. And down the other road, well, the other road is a dead end. And I said, that's not a crossroads, that's a T-junction. Well, I'm glad you laughed. She went fucking mental. I should, I suppose, point out at this early stage in the show that despite my dress and general demeanour, I'm not gay. Unless you're from Newcastle. And by gay, you mean owns a coat. You're looking a bit disappointed there. Sorry, it's just homosexuality isn't my thing. No hard feelings. Sorry, I don't want to spoil the mood. I'm not, I'm not homophobic. I'm not scared of you. It's fine, obviously some people are straight, some people are gay. That is fine. I'm what you might call a stray. I'm straight, but I'm socially gay. It means I'll notice when a female friend changes her hair or buys new shoes, but I won't accept your cock in my arse. It's less of a joke, it's just something I wanted to make absolutely clear. I get the feeling from that look on your face that I may have misjudged this situation. You either look hard or gay. Hopefully not both. You look as if you want to take me outside. I'm not entirely sure why. Suppose either way I'm buggered. As I'm sure you all will have ascertained, I'm quite middle class, and I'm from the home counties. So I don't have an accent. This is just how things sound when they're pronounced properly. Not that there's anything wrong with being working class these days. Being working class is very much like masturbation. It's nothing to be ashamed of. Of course, it's nothing to be proud of either. And both give you calluses on your hands. Sting, the popular singer, Sting's often bragging about his 8-hour-a-night sex sessions with his wife, Trudy. Imagine how long he'd be able to keep it up if she was a looker. In Japan, they believe that tiger penis improves fertility. But I think, if you really want to get pregnant, you're best off using a man's cock. My best mate's girlfriend is 6 months pregnant. They said, "Do you want to feel the baby?" On reflection, I think they meant on the outside. They say travel broadens the mind, except with Americans, which tends to widen the arse. A lot of people quote the fact that only 10% of Americans have passports. The thing is, they say it like it's a bad thing. Don't get the wrong idea, I've got nothing against Americans. Just one came up to me after a show a couple of weeks ago and said he thought I was patronising. I said, well, I think you'll find that's pronounced patronising. It means when you talk down to someone. Don't worry, I'm not being condescending. I'm far too busy thinking about important things you wouldn't understand. I'm not sure if you're aware of this. Did you know you're 10 times more likely to get mugged in London than you are in New York City? It's because you don't live in New York City. See, my favourite news story of the last year came from America. I'm sure you all saw this story in the papers or on TV. It was a story about a man in Utah, an American man, who he was out rambling in the wilds of Utah, the beautiful desert landscape, and there was a rockfall, and he got his hand trapped underneath a massive boulder, and he had to sever his own hand in order to walk to freedom. Incredible story about human courage and spirit. Did you all see that story? Well, I can't believe anyone saw it and didn't ask themselves the question, because I think it does beg the question, would I be able to do that? I've given it quite a lot of thought, and I think yes, I would be able to do that. What do I care about an American's hand? If it's life or death, I'll cut his fucking head off. The other story that sort of tickled me from America, not quite as inspiring, I'll be absolutely honest with you, was the story of an English woman and an American man. This made the papers earlier in the year. They were flying from JFK to London Heathrow, never met each other before, flying in first class. They just knew each other for 8 hours, and they were arrested as they came into land at Heathrow. And the reason they were arrested was because the lady was filleting the man. I mean sucking off. Yes, as they came into land, the lady was filleting the man. I myself prefer a boiled sweet. I just can't quite imagine how that happened. Presumably, at some point, she turned to him and said, "My ears are popping. Have you got a boiled sweet?" And he said, no, I haven't, but I've got an idea. Now, have we got anyone in from around the country? Is there anyone in from the north? Oh, quite a few of you. Oh. I ask you, what's the point in having a north-south divide if you're not going to police it? It is a peculiarity of the United Kingdom that people from Liverpool tend to think people from Manchester are a bunch of cunts. And vice versa, people from Manchester think people from Liverpool are a bunch of cunts. When will they realise? So I should apologise, really, because I've used the C word rather a lot so far this evening, and I know a lot of people, especially the ladies, let's be honest, find that a little bit offensive. There is, of course, an alternative to cunt. I don't mean up the arse. Now, are you all familiar with the phrase, "see you next Tuesday"? See, it's the polite English way of saying the C word so as not to cause too much offence. Although, ironically, I can't think of too many situations where you want to call someone a cunt, but you don't offend them. Sort of what I like about it. I'll have a bit of a sit down, I think. Oh, you all right? Was this the sort of thing you had in mind? No, right, okay, I'm fucked. Who's come the furthest? Did anyone come from, like, a long way overseas? Or Canvey Island? Right, now I know Canvey Island, so I happen to know that you've not come a long way from your home, you've just brought it with you. Did you come with him? No, good. Canvey Island's the furthest anyone came. Well, fuck you. You were all in the area anyway, were you? What's that? Was that Dover? Well, you were castrated before you got a chance to... Right. Were you worried about sounding silly, so you thought, well, I'll put on a ludicrous high-pitched voice? That should sort things out, shouldn't it? So you're a sailor, are you? Imagine my surprise at your high-pitched voice. Bad things come in threes. Good example of that is Atomic Kitten. Every time I think of Atomic Kitten, actually, I'm slightly saddened because I think, well, somewhere, somewhere in the northeast, there's a supermarket 3 checkout girls short. I wrote that joke for a thing called Worst Britons, where I had to write jokes about lots of celebrities. It was a programme that we put on Channel 4. I wrote this as well, if it's of any interest to you. I went to a car boot sale the other week. I found this old brown bent leathery tool. Turned out to be David Dickinson. Now, I don't know if anyone's seen any of the other TV shows that I made. I make a show called Distraction at the moment. Has anyone seen that? Yeah. Oh, just about everyone. And one person liked it. Well, that's good. If I can entertain just one man, I'll have been shit. The Distractions is quite good. It's Channel 4's replacement to Sex in the City. Just imagine the city is Dundee and the sex is anal. You get the idea. I do another show called Your Face or Mine. Has everyone seen that? Yeah. It's quite good fun, I think. It's a fun show. It's as shallow as a Tinker's Bar. I mean, no offence, I didn't mean to... But, you know, it's quite a fun show. It's basically about couples. It's about looks in relationships. Who here thinks looks are important in a relationship? Yeah. Oh, quite a few of you being honest this evening. I sort of sit on the fence on that one. Are looks important in a relationship? Well, I mean, you don't look at the fireplace when you're poking the fire, do you? But you do when it's sucking you off, so... Are you two a couple? Do you mind me asking how on earth that happened? What were you thinking? You don't know? You do a lot better than that. You're punching way above your weight. Not just a little bit, it's a different league. Well done. Is that money or personality or low self-esteem on her part? Lovely little mix of all three. That's basically the show, Your Face or Mine. That's it. That's all we do. We string that out for half an hour, the magic of television. Although it's quite awkward sometimes because there's quite young couples on the show and, you know, they're 19 or 20 and they're talking about their looks and it can be a bit awkward sometimes. We had an incident on the show where a woman came on with a medical complaint. I'm not sure what the correct medical term is, but she had a wonky face. I'm pretty sure that's not the correct medical term, but... She wasn't an unattractive girl either. She was quite good looking, but one half of her face was a lot lower than the other. Just a bit wonky. What had happened is she'd sent in a videotape to be on the show and recorded it rather coquettishly like that. And then she turned up and gone like that, and we'd all gone like that. And obviously the producer said, well, this is, you know, it's quite a serious thing, this show about looks, and she's got a wonky face, we've got to at least address it for the audience. I thought, what am I going to say? What's with the wonky face, love? I didn't say that. I said, could you tell me about your face? And luckily she played along. She said, yes, there's a story behind this. When I was 11, I had a skiing accident. I was skiing down the side of a hill, and I skied into the side of a chalet. And I broke my leg and my arm and my jawbone and my cheekbone and my eye socket, and I had to be airlifted to hospital. And I said, at least you got to go in a helicopter. Her face fell. Sadly, it didn't even up. That would have been rather miraculous. I can't be the only person. I mean, in real life, I do constantly put my foot in it. I can't be the only one that does these kind of things, but I mean, I've learned the hard way that you're not meant to refer to your partner as your current girlfriend. It suggests you're looking for an upgrade. And that doesn't seem to keep them on their toes the way you would think it might. Oh no, they don't like it. I've also got a policy now, after several unfortunate incidents, whereby I would rather see a pregnant woman standing on a bus than a fat girl sitting down crying. Come on, we've all made that mistake, haven't we? The worst thing is you know immediately you've made it. When's it due? Hang on, there's nothing due. You just like your food. It's a terrible moment. You just want the earth to open up and swallow her. Obviously, have to be a fucking big hole. Now, the other time when I put my foot in it, but sort of deliberately, is when I do charity shows. I do quite a lot of charity shows, and I'm not pretending to be particularly altruistic. I do them because they're really good fun. There's loads of comics come and do a show. There's about 10 of us backstage. We'll hang out together. It's like a little social. And what we do is we dare each other. We dare each other to open with the most inappropriate line possible. And what happens is I tend to win the bet and not get invited back. Which, if you think about it, is a double win, because you don't get paid for those shows. I did a gig for the Aisling Foundation. Does anyone know the Aisling Foundation? No. Well, they're quite a small charity based in London. They're an Irish charity, and what they do is they take Irish builders and navvies that came over in the 1950s and 60s, and these are older guys, they've fallen on hard times, they give them pensions and retirement homes on the west coast of Ireland. And I did a gig for them. I thought it was a great charity. I went out there, I said, it's lovely to be here supporting the Aisling Foundation. I've got a new slogan for you. Fuck off home, the roads are finished. Apparently they're famous for their sense of humour. Oh no, they're fucking not. The other charity that I did a gig for last year was Stonewall. You know Stonewall, the largest gay charity in Europe? I did a gig for them up in Edinburgh. I went on, I said, it's lovely to be here in Edinburgh. I'm not sure about supporting Stonewall. Sure, maybe if we raise enough money, maybe one day we'll be able to find a cure. But I'm not sure there's anything wrong with being gay. That was pretty much their reaction. Although they were slightly more theatrical. I don't want to sound callous or unkind or cruel, but the Children of Courage Awards. How much courage does it take to get poorly? All I'm saying is, maybe we could just change the name to the Children of Horrible Misfortune. That way we could include ugly children as well. If anyone's sitting there thinking, I really didn't like that joke, I don't like the subject matter, I didn't think it was very funny. Imagine how it went down at the Great Ormond Street Gala. Well, comedy's been pretty good to me over the last couple of years. I've had a really sort of good run at it. And I wanted to give something back. And what I thought I'd do is try and sort of do some guerrilla comedy, put some comedy in places where you don't normally find it. Obviously, you all, come out to a comedy show this evening, and people watching a comedy DVD tend to be in quite a good mood already. But what about the people that aren't having a good day? What about the people, I don't know, reading the small ads? I mean, you can't be having a good time if you're reading the small ads. You're either buying something second-hand, or you're filling in a personal. And let's face it, if you're summing up your personality in 30 words or less, it basically means you don't have a good one. So what I thought I'd do is put some, I've got a credit card, I've got quite good phone manner. I'll play some small ads, maybe cheer some people up along the way. Would you like to see them? Yeah. Of course you fucking would. This is the first one that I placed. I put it in the personals. It's incurable romantic, seeks filthy whore. This one's slightly more optimistic than that. It's a bit more ambitious. Albino he, she, seek similar. Now, I've not had any responses to that as yet, but as soon as I get two, I'm going to set up a blind date. They won't be able to believe their luck. This next one's sort of the basis for all small ads, in my opinion, in the personals. Good-looking, athletic, Notting Hill-based movie star, millionaire, seeks gullible stunner. Now, the business opportunity section of papers, I travel up and down the country doing lots of stand-up gigs, and I always sort of read the local paper. It's normally, quite good fun. The business opportunity section, useless for me. Unless you want to buy a cafe in Solihull, no good. So I thought I'd try and brighten up with an ad. I placed this. Small minority wanted to spoil it for the rest of us. There's always one, is it you? Now, sadly, I didn't get any responses at all to this next one. Wanted, 30 Chinamen and a Zeppelin for elaborate practical joke. Now, the announcement section in a local paper should be an interesting thing, but it's not. It's births, marriages and deaths. But, of course, if you know the person, involved in either being born or getting married or dying, you sort of know. You don't need to read it in the paper. So it's a bit pointless. Although my nan used to collect anything to do with our family or friends. She used to collect all the little personals from the local paper and put them in a shoebox. She collected them all for like 50 years. And then she died and we put them in the bin. That's not a joke, that's just what happens. Anyway, I thought I'd try and, cheer up the announcement section of the paper. I went with this ad. Amanda, I'm running a bit late. We'll be there in about an hour. How far apart are the contractions? This next one is, well, it's just plain odd, but I ended up putting it in public and legal notices, but only because I was out of ideas as to where to put it. Nemesis wanted. I'm 5'10", into kayaking, books and conversation by day, justice, honour and vengeance by night. Seeking archenemy, possibly crime lord or deformed megalomaniac. This next one's not my finest piece of work, but I kind of like it. Speech impediment. There's a new support group for the London area called Dave. Now, obviously, we set up all of these with real phone lines, so people could call up if they wanted to. And we put an extra long answer machine message tape for that one, because we thought if we get any complaints, it could take a while. This next one doesn't have a phone number. I just wanted to get the message out there. Does anyone else think there's something not quite right about Gary Lineker? This next one, well, might be handy for some of the front row. I put it in the lost section. Lost. Virginity. Yes, get in. Does anyone here read Private Eye magazine? Oh, quite a few of you. Right. Well, you can attest to the fact that these small ads in the back of Private Eye are mental. They're the most mental thing I've seen. It's full of people saying things like, I'm just doing a law degree and I need £5,000 to complete my thesis. And then bank account details. It's the Everest of optimism. I thought I'm getting in on that action. I placed this. Needed, 20k, no questions asked. Then 2 weeks later, when no one came up with the money, terrible, I put, all right, 10k, one question, nothing personal. I'm willing to compromise, I'm a reasonable man. Now, there's a for sale section in all of these magazines around the country. Hitachi washing machine, DX250, under warranty until, kill them all. February 2004, in perfect working order, £180 on nearest offer. The reason I'm so pleased with that is because I phoned it in. And the only thing the operator said to me was, is that 4 kills? Yeah, fine. For sale, holiday photos, choice of ski, sun or city break. Ideal for anecdote or alibi. For sale, bonsai tree, large. The other thing I've got quite interested in, nay, obsessed by, is the, you know the adverts you get at busy, on railings at busy intersections in roads? Up and down the country, you get them all over the place. You've all seen those, yeah? What kind of nutters are replying to those? What people are out of work and they're thinking, yeah, the railings, that's the answer. Not a job centre or a friend of a friend. I'll just go with the railing. Anyway, you know, so I thought what I'll do is I'll set up some of my own. I'll put them up around West London and I'll see who calls. Nutters, it turns out. I needn't have bothered my arse. But I'll take you through some of the ones that I did anyway. Get rich quick. Simply set up a premium rate phone line. To find out how, just call 0900. Lose weight fast. Fed up of dieting and exercise? Incredible results guaranteed. Try amoebic dysentery. Is your memory letting you down? And what about your memory? Is it letting you down? Call for an information pack right now, before you forget. Money worries, work from home, earn pounds. You don't even have to get out of bed. To find out more, just call Pimp Jimmy. Well, this is the last one of these. Am you grammar letting we down? Tuition available. Now call now. I don't know if this has ever happened to any of you, but I split up with my last girlfriend because she was very hypocritical. She used to say, I love surprises, but then when she found out I was sleeping with her sister... My girlfriend always says, you never tell me how much you love me. I don't want to upset her. A couple of weeks ago, we were making love and she had an asthma attack. I did briefly think I was doing really rather well. Then about sort of the 90-second, 2-minute mark, I thought, hang on, she's laying this on a bit, Fig. Either she wants something or she's not well. And she wasn't well. I totally panicked. I didn't know what to do, so I phoned a friend of mine who's a doctor and he lives just down the road from me, and I said to him, you know, what should I do? He said, well, yeah, don't panic. It could be quite serious. It probably isn't, but I'll pop right over. I said, what should I do in the meantime? He said, finish yourself off. Don't give me that look. It was the right thing to do. I realised I shouldn't really take the piss out of the asthmatics. They've got enough to worry about. The National Asthmatics Emergency Helpline Service was shut down recently. Apparently a problem with all the obscene phone calls. No asthmatics in? No, I would have heard you. I don't know if anyone's got this. There are lots of couples in this evening. How many couples do we have? Quite a few. By show of hands. How many do we have by shouting out? Hundreds. Brilliant. I'm wondering, does anyone have this arrangement in their relationship? It's becoming ever more common now for couples to have an arrangement whereby they're totally faithful to each other, but they've got a clause whereby if one of them was to meet a certain celebrity, they would be allowed to stray. Has anyone got that going on in their relationship? Who have you got? You. Right. I noticed that you're sitting next to a lady. You're going to do what when you go home? She's going to kill you? Right. Or strap one on and fuck you, certainly. One or the other. Anyone else got one? You've got one. Who have you got? Jim Carrey. All right. He might be up for it. And who's your boyfriend got? Anything, I'm not bothered. What? Sorry? Anything good looking. What, bit of a change? Yeah, lovely. You can't say that. The reason I mention it is because I've got an arrangement with my girlfriend whereby if I ever get the opportunity to sleep with Kylie Minogue, she can fuck off. Are you all aware of what snowballing is, the sexual practice snowballing? Yeah. One bloke down. Who was that down there? Quite proud of that. Well done. Everyone else, none the while. OK, well, I'll explain. It says something about you. Snowballing is a sexual practice where, having administered oral sex, your partner doesn't spit or swallow so much as return to sender via a kiss. Oh, you're looking shocked and appalled as I explain that to you. Let me assure you, I found out the hard way. And it does raise an interesting moral dilemma. Should you spit or swallow? Well, if you really love yourself. So I can see some friends of mine up there, and you're explaining that to your mum. Brilliant. Oh, what a brilliant day out that will be. What a lovely drive home. So this snowballing thing. Marvellous. Are there any Catholics in, by any chance? If you're up there. I'm a lapsed Catholic. I don't know much about Catholicism, but I like some of the ideas. Very much like the idea of the confirmation. The confirmation, correct me if I'm wrong, is when you're about 12 and you meet a bishop. And he says to you, you're definitely a Catholic. I don't know if he does that. But he says, you're definitely a Catholic. He confirms you. You are confirmed. I think it's a very good idea. I think other religions could do with that. I think the Jews could do with that. I've got a lot of friends that are Jews, and they always say, I'm Jewish. A new book's come out called Better Than Sex with Claire Rayner. A lot of things in that fucking category. I'm struggling to think of anything that wouldn't make the mark. I suppose the Rwandan genocide might just edge it. Well, good. I was in a bookstore last week. There was a third off all titles. Bought The Lion, the Witch. I said to the PhD English graduate, sorry, shop assistant. I said, what's this psycho the rapist section? She said, I think you'll find that's pronounced psychotherapist. I don't know if you're all aware of this. Are you all aware of the fact that, that Christopher Reeve wrote a book last year? He wrote a book called Nothing is Impossible. I say he wrote it, he dictated it, it's not important. Just on the back flyleaf cover of the book, it says, since the accident, Christopher's never looked back. I mean, fair enough, but there's no need to rub it in, is there? I met an incredible girl on the internet. Smart, sexy, uninhibited. Of course, it turned out to be a 12-year-old paraplegic boy. I'll be honest, the sex was disappointing. Oh, I think we've reached a barrier there, haven't we? And we will laugh at that and nothing more. Well, fair enough. A couple of weeks ago, I failed to perform sexually. Well, how is that a laughing matter? A couple of weeks ago, I failed to perform sexually. I'm not going to go into details. Suffice it to say, I arrived early. My girlfriend said, don't worry, that happens to a lot of guys. I said, right, there's two things the matter with that. Firstly, who are these a lot of guys? And secondly, if it's happening to more than one of us, don't you think it could be your fault? She says there's never an excuse to raise your hand to a woman. What if you've got a question? She says that because she's a woman, she's good at doing two things at the same time. If that's the case, why is the threesome out of the question? I was in the high street the other day. There was a girl there with a clipboard. She said, could you spare a few minutes for cancer research? I said, all right, but we're not going to get much done. We can pop into Boots and see if they've got anything. You know that disclaimer they put at the end of films? You know the one that says the characters and the events in this film are purely fictitious, any relation to real characters and events is purely coincidental? Yeah? Do they really need that on Lord of the Rings? Is anyone watching that thinking, this is a brilliant documentary? I might think about going to New Zealand on my holidays. But wait, no, I don't want it ruined by Saruman, he's Orc Army. Your hair? What, I'm just saying. I like the Spice Girls as much as the next man, but... I can't help noticing you've got a tattoo on your... Well, it's your boob, isn't it, really? It sort of draws the eye. What is that, exactly? It's a rose. On your... As if boobs aren't fun enough as they are. She's thought, I'll tell you, I'll brighten these things up. No fella's going to like these. What do guys like? They like flowers, don't they? Yeah, I'll get a picture of a flower. Did you not think, what do you like? What kind of thing? You look like the sort of bloke that like cars and guns and tanks. Get a nice tattoo of a tank on your tip. Lovely. He could be, you know, and going, oh, is that a Sherman? Because flowers, unless he's secretly gay, and I'll be honest, there's a lot of earrings and spiky hair. Good, fine. I remember before J-Lo, before the term ghetto booty, when we used to just call it a fat arse. Of course, J-Lo's had her bum insured for $10 million. Don't know if that covers contents. I was talking to my nan about Ant and Dec. She said she didn't know which one Ant was. I said, do you know which one Dec is? She said, yeah. My girlfriend asked me recently one of the big questions in life. She said to me, do you want to have children? I thought about it, I thought, God, is there any truer expression of the love that you have for another person than to have a child with them? Because really that is a bond that lasts forever. It's not like getting married, marriages break up, but having a child together, you know you're going to be bonded through that child for the rest of your life. And then I thought about the money. I thought, how expensive is it bringing up a child? It's apparently the most expensive thing you can do. It costs £100,000 to bring up a child up to the age of 18. It's an incredible amount of money. It's not like buying a house where you can sell it on. It doesn't appreciate, that's just gone. And then I thought about the education of the child. Would I send it to state school or private school? I'm doing all right. I might think about private school, but I'd probably end up sending it to state school. And then, you know, maybe I'd compromise on that, become a bit of a hypocrite, end up reading the Daily Mail, going to parent-teacher meetings, becoming my dad. It'd be awful. And then I thought more about, well, why am I thinking about having a child? Why don't I think about adopting a child? Isn't it just about the family unit and love, rather than just having a little mini-me running around the place? And then I thought about how much it would mean to have my family name live on. And, you know, what that would mean to my nearest and dearest. And then I thought again about the relationship with my girlfriend, how that would change, how I'd probably end up calling her mum or something, you know, would really sort of change that. And then, it would change my life, it'd probably ruin it. Anyway, I sort of weighed up all the pros and all the cons, and in the end I said no. course, by then I'd come. Luckily, all over her tits. Mum understood that? Good. Fine, right. Do you know, ladies and gentlemen, one of my ambitions is to write a book. Like many comedians, I'd love to write a book, but I don't really want to write a novel because I don't know if you've ever read a novel by a comedian, but they're shite. We don't seem very good at it. It requires having an idea that lasts more than 30 seconds. Not going to happen. So what I thought I'd do is a book of correspondence, because that way you're getting someone else to do half the work. Oh, yeah, always thinking. Would you like to hear them? Oh, good, good. Otherwise we'd be having some quiet time. This is the first letter that I wrote. It's to my local MP, Chris Smith. Dear Mr. Smith, do you get tired of people writing to you who are clearly just wasting your time and have nothing better to do? This is to Charlie Statham, who's the head doctor of NHS Direct in West London. Dear sir, I heard about a doctor that took out someone's appendix with a coat hanger on a plane. Now, I'm not a qualified doctor, but I do take an interest and I've got all the proper kit. Could you talk me through the procedure? Please write back soon, she's in terrible pain. Is anyone in here a member of Amnesty International? I think someone's timidly put up a hand at the back, but are you worried about being persecuted? Well, I wrote a letter to the head of Amnesty International in the UK. I hope you like it. It's to Kate Allen, Director of Amnesty International UK. Dear Madam, I like what you people do. Writing letters to complain about human rights violations is like a political version of Points of View. The BBC or fascist leader may not change what they do as a result, but at least you'll slow down their day as they wade through the postbag. I'd be surprised if they got round to torturing anyone before 11:30, the number of letters you send. Lots of people do nothing because they know they cannot change the world. But you good people are not deterred from making futile gestures on behalf of human rights. And I, for one, applaud you. Inspired by your unilateral approach, I decided to hold a fundraising dinner on your behalf at my home. I charge people £20 a head to come and enjoy a meal and drinks, with all profits to go to Amnesty. Although a success creatively, we went for a South American theme, unfortunately the groceries were expensive, as was the booze, and in the end I made a loss. You now owe me £57.40. Now Amnesty, God bless them, got back to me almost immediately with this letter. To be honest, it's a little bit condescending. Dear Jimmy, thank you for your letter. I was delighted to hear that you're a supporter of Amnesty. You do appear to have a few misunderstandings about the work we do. So I've enclosed a copy of our new information leaflet, What We Do. Which, fair enough, is a very good name for an information leaflet. I've also enclosed a copy of our new annual review, Human Rights Before Profit, which I've had a flick through and is no way to run a company. Regarding your recent fundraising dinner, I'm sorry to hear that all the energy and creativity which you put into your event did not result in you being able to make your planned fundraising donation. I usually advise our supporters to start small and build up with their fundraising. It's also an excellent idea to work out a simple budget beforehand. And to have a think about just how many people you can attract as guests to your event. This helps immeasurably with planning your expenditure and setting your ticket price, and hopefully will ensure a different outcome at your next fundraiser. In terms of your request that Amnesty reimburse you for the loss, I'm afraid I will have to say no. Well, I was very disappointed in £57.40 out of pocket. But I had a money-making idea. Who buys fair trade products here? Quite a few of you buy fair trade? You know, the tea, the coffee, the sugar, that kind of thing. I had a bit of, I think I spotted a gap in the market, so I wrote them a letter. The reason I'm writing is I think I've spotted a gap in the market. Told you. No one is more exploited than the farmer of the coca leaf. Whilst drug barons get rich exploiting both third world farmers and first world recreational users, we stand by and do nothing. I propose a fair trade cocaine joint venture. I have a contact in distribution, and you guys have the perfect cover to sell through customs. Who knows, if it all takes off, we could end up millionaires. Brackets, and help the poor. I wrote this one to Martin Bell. You know Martin Bell, the man in the white suit, political campaigner? Dear Mr. Bell, your personal assistant is keeping things from you. Now, I've not had a reply to that, which would seem to suggest I'm right. This is one that I wrote to, in terms of taste and decency, we take a bit of a dark turn here, let's be honest. It's a letter that I wrote to David Yelland when he was editor of The Sun. Dear Yelland. I thought that was good, tabloidy, strong. Dear Yelland, there's been a lot of talk about genetic engineering. Obviously, it's a very complex area. Could you tell me, is it wrong to breed piglets specifically for the purpose of weaning paedophiles off babies? Only I'm thinking of starting a company with the slogan, they'll squeal, but not to the cops. I think it's morally acceptable to write that letter. I think it's okay to laugh, but to applaud, really, that's in very bad taste. I wrote this to Sir John Stevens, the Metropolitan Police Commissioner. Dear Sir John, I've got a bet on with a friend. I say most policemen are just nice guys doing their job, whereas he says all coppers are cunts. Which is it? Right, what should we do here? Well, very much your decision. I wrote a letter to Stephen Hawking. Would you like to hear it? Fine. On your own heads be it. Okay, it's to Stephen Hawking in Cambridge University. Dear Professor, I know you get lots of letters asking you all sorts of things about the nature of the universe, and I also know you don't have a lot of time on your hands to be answering all of them in great detail. But perhaps this question from my 9-year-old will inspire you a little. He is severely disabled and has similar limitations to you, but equally, he has a great spirit and refuses to give in on a world all too ready to dismiss him as a four-eyed, monotonal, voice-box, wheelchair-bound freak. Anyway, what he'd really like to know is, would you like to come over and play? Now, obviously, when you send a letter like that, you're not expecting a reply. You're certainly not expecting a phone call. But that's what I got. My younger brother Patrick answered the phone and passed it to me. He said it's Stephen Hawking's assistant. I was slightly taken aback. She was inquiring as to the name of my son. Now, the only disability my son has is, tragically, he's fictitious. But as I said, my younger brother Patrick had answered the phone, so I said Patrick. I gave a name, and then she asked about his disabilities, and I, watch a fair amount of daytime TV. I was able to cobble something together. And the reason I did that was not to sort of continue the joke. I just thought, well, she'll be embarrassed on the phone if I say it's just a silly joke. So I thought, well, I don't want to embarrass her. I'll just say it. That'll probably be the end to it. But it wasn't the end to it at all. About 2 weeks later, I received this letter, a lovely letter, and she sent me a biography of Stephen Hawking with a photo. It's not signed. And then about a week after that, I got this letter from Stephen Hawking himself. It's absolutely genuine. I'll read it to you now. Dear Patrick, my assistant, Karen, has sent me a letter from your father who tells me that you've invited me to come over and play. It's very kind of you to send me the invitation, but unfortunately I'm teaching at Caltech in Pasadena until the 1st of May. So I can't take you up on your offer. Even though I am 60, I think it's never too late to play. One of my birthday treats was to go for a balloon ride, and that was really exciting. If you're interested, contact Ian Bentley at Innovative Ballooning. There's the contact details and phone numbers. I did contact him, and he'd bought us a balloon ride. I did briefly consider crippling my younger brother to take him up on the offer. The reason I sort of share that with you, ladies and gentlemen, is because, it's all a bit clever, sending people, letters and kind of running away. But that one went horribly wrong. And I also thought it demonstrated that Stephen Hawking is not only a brilliant man, but a brilliant bloke. What a lovely thing to do. Yeah, fair enough. Having said that, responding to a letter where you yourself are described as a four-eyed, monotonal, voice-box, wheelchair-bound freak, maybe not that clever. Well, this is the last letter. It's a letter I wrote to HSBC. Anyone back with HSBC? Oh, quite a few of you. All right, this is a letter I wrote to them. Dear Sir or Madam, I really love your latest HSBC commercials, the ones about cultural diversity and the importance of communicative sensitivity in international finance. Having said that, I must take issue with the statement you make that the rudest thing you could do in Thailand was to reveal the soles of your feet. Now, I've been to Thailand in my year off, and I can tell you, you can do things a lot ruder than that there. A lot ruder. My friend Keith shat in a hooker's mouth for a tenner. I just wanted to let you know, in case you were thinking about doing another ad. About Holland or something. Has anyone ever watched the special features on a live comedy DVD? 4 people, and they sound long-term unemployed. You can tell a lot from a voice. I bought this for $6.99 in a petrol station. I'm getting value. Marvellous. All right, so you'd like to interview me, Heidi? Brilliant. Well, welcome. Come on up. Give her a round of applause, honey. Have a little sit down. Oh, yeah? Yeah, a round of applause for John. Have a sit down. There's some questions there for you. Hey, Brad. Yeah, very well. Have a sit down. Hang on. First of all, who are you?
My name's Heidi.
Your name's Heidi?
Yes.
Right. Is there anything else?
Really?
Not really. What do you do?
I'm a teacher.
Right. And what do you teach? And if you say children, I'll hit you.
I teach primary school children.
Primary school?
Yes.
Now, I don't know much about teaching, but I would imagine it's the teachers that aren't as good that get primary school. As they don't know as much stuff. Is that what happens?
Quite possibly, yes.
Right. I always thought I could be a special needs teacher. How tough could it be for little fellas? I mean, it's not as if... Do you get paid on... Is it performance-related pay for teachers? Oh, I thought they were trying to bring that in. Special needs people would be fucked, wouldn't they? Just talk me through the look, though.
This a good look?
It's a fine look, yeah.
Good.
It's particularly American.
Well, seeing as the world is being enveloped by America at the moment, I think that's probably the right way to go.
Word. Yeah, John.
Shall I start?
What do you do?
I work in a Virgin Megastore.
Which one?
The one in Hounslow.
Nice.
No, it's not.
Okay. Do you
But
get to
really,
steal
I'm
many
a
records?
filmmaker.
Really, you're a filmmaker?
Yeah, I'm an independent filmmaker.
Right.
By saying
Are
that,
these films with your girlfriend, or
she's...
what kind of films? We all make films.
Cheap comedies, basically.
Cheap comedies?
Yes.
Channel 5 kind of stuff?
Well, if only they'd be shown on television, but for some reason no one will buy them yet.
All right. Are they funny?
I like to think so.
What kind of thing?
First one was a zombie comedy set at my school when I was in the sixth form a couple of years ago. About 4 years ago, specifically.
Yeah, 4 years ago. I think they laughed when you said a couple of years ago. They went, hang on. He's 20, that must...
Well, in Hounslow.
Yeah, so a zombie comedy.
Yes, called
Brilliant.
School of the Dead.
School of the Dead, I see what you've
was
done.
Yes, and then it was...
Yeah. Simon Pegg did the same thing, made millions, so fair enough.
I did it years before Shaun of the Dead came out. I love Simon Pegg. I'm a big fan, and I'm going to see him in a comedy show in a couple of weeks. And I saw him at the Albert Hall, where you played the same thing a few weeks ago.
Slightly stalkerish, but good.
Good,
So is it a full-length film about zombie school?
Yeah, it was an hour and a half. It's over long. I did my second one, which was a James Bond spoof. That was 2 hours, 10 minutes. Way too long. Even I can't sit through it now.
Yeah.
And,
the actual James Bond film is less...
yes.
You're either from France or a burglar. It's my only frame of reference. What do you do, Brad? Just quickly tell me.
Student.
You're a student?
Yeah.
What do you study?
English literature.
Really?
Shame.
Who's your favourite writer?
Dickens, probably.
Dickens.
Yeah, I think about that one.
Is he from West Africa? Dickens. Yeah, I think I might know him, yeah.
What is your most embarrassing moment?
Probably when I first met my girlfriend, I met her parents. Yeah, you know, when you go out to... I presume everyone's done this. You've gone out to dinner with your girlfriend's parents, and it's the most anodyne, boring conversation you've ever had in your life. It's a terrible thing. And we were having that boring conversation. We got onto sports. I thought we're safe enough on sport. And Caroline's mother, out of nowhere, said, of course, Caroline can get both her legs behind her head. And there was a bit of an awkward silence, I'll be honest, in which I nearly bit my tongue off. And her father broke the silence with the rather epic, when would that come in handy?
How do you relax?
I put Smarties tubes onto cats' legs and make them walk like a robot. If I'm feeling really stressed, I make them go down the stairs. You ever done that? Make a film about that.
I will. Robotic cat, robocats.
Robocats, there you go.
Yeah.
Sorted.
So, as long as you're
The product placement is there.
Well, we'd have to tape them up. I've had to tape up things in my films because if they ever get used, I'll be sued. Tesco's almost did me once.
Tesco's nearly sued you?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course they did, yeah.
They did.
Yeah, they're very worried. The 6 mates of yours that saw the film, they could see Tesco's in a bad light.
I promoted them and they didn't like it. They didn't like the fact that I used their name.
Right.
Anything.
What book changed your life?
Heidegger's Being and Nothingness. Before I got that book, we had a wonky table in the kitchen. That was a great look from an English student, though.
Never heard it.
Did it? All the best with that. Are you all right? You nervous up here?
Yeah,
Or are you
very.
okay?
Yeah.
Really? I don't be. It's quite a nice audience. Just sit and relax, take it in.
It's quite scary.
It's not every day you get to come on stage. It's good fun. That's just an audience. Don't panic. It'll be fine. Look, you get them to applaud. Go like that. Go on. Yeah. It's so lucky you did that. He would have been scarred for life. Nothing.
What is your favourite record of all time?
Hop, skip, jump.
Who's that by?
Who's that by? I think it was Colin Jackson. I'm not sure.
All right. I clearly didn't get that, did I?
Well, you see, there's records, like records that you play, right? And what I've done, you'll never... I'm a wag. I've inferred like an Olympic record. That's what the joke was there. Is your school one of the ones that's failing? Or?
What makes you angry?
When I can't get the lid off the Valium.
It's almost as if you know what questions I'm going to ask, isn't it?
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Which historical figure do you most admire?
Joan of Arc, lovely tits.
Yeah, I'm agreeing. Go, Joan of Arc.
She was only 15, steady on.
What's the one thing you'd like to do before you die?
Kylie.
She looks like she's 15, doesn't she?
Easy.
Well,
we're not on a web chat room now. Kylie looks like she's 15. Does she?
No, I don't know.
She's got quite a boyish bum, I suppose.
Never looked at 15-year-old boys' bums.
You used to have one, presumably.
But I can't see it.
You never...
Never had a look.
Stand up. Yeah, that's not unlike Kylie's bum, I'm sure. Very pert, well done.
Any questions of your own?
We nearly carried that off without anyone. Yeah, he's just having a look at that bloke's bum, see what it's like.
Do you wear a toupee?
Do I wear a toupee?
Yeah.
No. You can have a go and test if it's real if you want. I realise it's a slightly anachronistic haircut that I've got. It's a bit Hitler. But I like it. And let's face it, the trains ran on time. Fair enough, they all went to death camps, but he made an effort. Oh, that split the audience. The people with no sense of moral decency left, and the others. Have you got any other questions?
I can't think of any offhand.
You can't think of any offhand?
No. Would you like to appear in one of my films?
I would love to.
Shall I give you my number?
Well, I'll tell you what.
Thank you very much for talking to me, Jim.
Well, thank you very much indeed. Heidi, round of applause for Heidi, I think. Thank you very much. That was lovely. Thanks very much, John. That's great, thank you. Cheers. Nice to meet you. Thank you very much. There's a little list of questions. What's your name?
Oh, I don't make up my own questions.
You can make up your own, yeah. Feel free.
My name is Blonard.
Blonid.
Yeah. It's Irish.
It's Irish for what? Typo?
I'm not going to tell you what it's Irish for.
What is it Irish for?
That's it, yeah.
Flour?
Yeah.
What kind of flour?
Little flower.
Not self-raising?
No.
No. Little flower.
Little flower, yeah.
Blonde.
It's not difficult, yeah.
Is it spelled? Oh, well, fair enough. All right, little flower. But I just worry on the DVD, if you're watching this back home, I can pronounce blonde. Why? Blonde. Go ahead. Kick off. Ask anything you want, actually. I've got those there, but
Do you want me to speak from this? Really? Do you want me to ask these questions?
It's not complicated.
Okay.
Right back at you. It would appear, Blonde, I've got the skills to pay the bills.
Great to have you here.
Great to be here. We'll try and hold it together. You're not Graham Norton.
No, I'm not Graham Norton. What do you think about fame?
Well, I'm glad you've asked me that. A lot of people, they get their first little taste of fame and they let it go to their heads. They end up in the Priory Clinic talking about themselves in the third person.
Okay.
Let me assure you, Jimmy Carr's not going to let that happen.
So who would you most like to sleep with? Anyone, living or dead?
Anyone living? This could take a while.
Which is your greatest regret?
Well, they say that you should regret the things you have done, not the things you haven't. But my greatest regret is something that I didn't do. It's a girl called Barbara.
Which words?
Sorry, do I look like a wife beater now because she's crying?
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. I think I might be giving her an orgasm. I'm not. I've never seen it before. I've got no frame of reference.
No, don't worry, you're not.
You'll never go.
Which words or phrases do you most overuse?
Hello, I'm Jimmy Carr. All I'm saying is, when you think about it, can I park here? Is it in yet?
Where do you get your ideas from?
I think it's the cerebellum, but it could be the frontal cortex.
Could be.
I'm not sure.
Which book changed your life?
Heidegger's Being and Nothingness.
What is your most embarrassing
Well, hang on, there's more
moment?
to that. Feed line, punch line, then we move on.
Okay, go for it. Okay, what is your favourite record of all time?
Well, it's a different question. Go back to the book, damn it.
Okay. What book changed your life?
Heidegger's Being and Nothingness. Before I got that book, we had a wonky table in the kitchen.
What's the worst heckle you've ever had?
I was probably I was doing a gig in Bristol. I told a joke, not a brilliant joke, it was all right. I said, has anyone in here been caught thieving in the Middle East? Let's have a show of hands. And a bloke about 4 rows back held up a hook. Properly Abu Hamza style.
Oh, right, yeah.
And to my eternal shame, I said, give him a big hand.
I'm going to edit all this out.
Well, your bits, yeah.
How do you relax?
I put Smarties tubes on cats' legs and make them walk like a robot. If I'm really tense, I make it go down the stairs. They get a bit confused.
Yeah.
A cat looking confused is brilliant.
Okay.
Little face.
What makes you angry?
When I can't get the lid off the Valium.
Okay. Which historical figure do you most admire?
Joan of Arc, lovely tits.
What's the one thing you'd like to do before you die?
Kylie.
So predictable. Any other questions of your own? Any other questions of your own? Any questions?
Any other questions of your own? Most people will just read that and then think of a question. Well, So you're Irish, are you? Imagine my surprise. I'm actually, whereabouts are you from in Ireland?
Dublin.
Dublin. I'm actually what people refer to as a plastic paddy. Because I've got Irish parents and an Irish
But
passport.
you were born and grew up in England.
Well, no, I was born in Ireland, Irish passport, Irish parents. But I've got, you know, Irish passport, everything Irish. But I speak like this and present myself in this way because I was educated in the UK. Just goes to show what you can do when you apply yourself. Every time I speak to an Irish person now, I'm slightly saddened. I think it doesn't have to be this way. Well, I think you've done a wonderful job, blonde hair. Blonde.
Thank you.
Blonde.
Thanks very much for talking to me,
Thank you very much indeed.
Jimmy. Sorry.
That was low, wasn't it? Give her a big round of applause. Thank you very much indeed. Thanks so much. That was lovely. My girlfriend said she wanted me to tease her. I said, all right, fatty. Things don't always work out the way you think. I always thought it was going to be my mum that would catch me masturbating. Think you're shocked, imagine my surprise. According to official statistics, 1/3 of all accidents in the workplace go unreported. How on earth do they know? When I was a kid, I had an imaginary friend, and I used to think that he went everywhere with me, and that I could talk to him and he could hear me, and that he could grant me wishes and stuff. And then I grew up, and I stopped going to church. Well, that seems to have divided the room somewhat. There's two distinct groups there. There's people that thought that was funny, and then there's a larger group who will be going to heaven. While we're on the subject of religion, I imagine there's quite a few people in here that go to Mass, or wherever Protestants go. Hell, I'd imagine, I know. Have you all seen the new Mel Gibson film? The Passion of the Christ. It's upset an awful lot of Christians. They're up in arms about it. He's made a film about the life of Christ, but he's tacked on this silly Hollywood ending where the hero comes back at the end. Does she love the little baby Jesus, or... Does she love the little baby Jesus or not? She go for a wee. Is it a wee or a poo? Should we time her? It's always a bit embarrassing, isn't it? When people say they hear voices in their heads, as opposed to where exactly? Hearing voices in your legs. That's properly mental. I saw an advert for adult literacy classes in the newspaper. Are there any single men in this evening? Anyone single? You're single. Well, don't panic. I've got some advice for you. If you really like a girl and you ask her out and she says to you, I love you like a brother, suggest a weekend in Norfolk. Unless you're from Norfolk, in which case it probably is your sister. So are you from Norfolk? You don't look like you're from Norfolk. You're from Thetford in Norfolk. And is that your sister, girlfriend, both? Sorry, and you're here with your sister? Not really, though. Saturday night out, I'll take my sister. She's a looker. Have you ever with the... I'm only asking. Do you think your sister's attractive, can I ask? Do you think she's attractive or not? She's okay. Did you give her one? That was very low, sorry. What about you, love? I can't believe that. He's from Norfolk, and he's brought his sister. It could scarcely be better. I'm amazed you didn't bring your mum. Did you split up? Oh, marvellous. Imagine your family tree's a straight line, is it? It's just a piece of timber. Sorry. I may have misjudged this. It looks as if there's going to be a short fight after the gig, which I imagine I'll be losing. Is she? Do you think she got bladder problems? Maybe some sort of yeast infection, I'm not... We'll ask her when she comes back. I just hope she hasn't got any vaginal difficulties. It's a lovely word, though, isn't it, vaginal? Oh, clearly not. I've got a friend that picked up 2 girls last week. I said they're like buses. He said, yeah, you wait ages and then 2 come along at once. I said, no, they are like buses. Someone came up to me and complained about that joke a couple of weeks ago after a show. Quite a big-boned girl. She said to me, I think you're fattest. I said, no, no, no. I think you're fattest. Someone calls Admiral Insurance every 6 seconds for a quote. What a nutter. Environmentalists tell us that every day an area the size of Wales is destroyed. Why is it never Wales? So are there Welsh people in this evening? You're from Wales? Well, don't worry. Do you know what the most common crime is in Wales? No. Hang on, I've got to ask someone about her fufu. It's a long time for a pee, you all right? You're fine? You sure? Is that better? Bless you. Sorry, I was just talking to your friend about being from Wales. Do you know what the most common crime is in Wales? Have a guess. What guess? Sheep shagging? Well, that's rather insulting, isn't it? And to add insult to injury, you're wrong. It's not sheep shagging. It's actually ram raiding. The second most common crime is having sex with a minor. If anyone's offended, just look for the other meaning. You'll be fine. I bought my girlfriend a book called Cheap and Easy Vegetarian Cooking, which is ideal for her because not only is she a vegetarian, she's reading a book at the moment called Women That Love Too Much, which I think could have the title shortened to Sluts. The reason old men use Viagra is not because they're impotent. It's because old women are so very ugly. When it comes to the environment, it's not us, but our children and our children's children that will pay for our mistakes, which is a relief. No matter how much you give a homeless person for a cup of tea, you never get that tea. Throwing acid is wrong, in some people's eyes. I went up to the airport information desk. I said, how many airports are there in the world? She said, I don't know. I went up to the check-in desk. The girl said to me, window, seat or aisle? I said, window, seat or you're what? Are you threatening me? She said, no, calm down. Window, seat or aisle? I said, I'll have a seat. I bought one of those round-the-world air tickets, £1,200, amazing value. 37 hours later, I arrived back at Heathrow. A lot of people say modern art is pretentious, but I look at it like this. Boxers don't have sex before a fight. Do you know what that is? They don't fancy each other. If you eat a lot of spicy food, you can damage your sense of taste. When I was in India last year, I was listening to a lot of Michael Bolton. Every year in this country, thousands of dogs are needlessly and pointlessly destroyed. Every night, hundreds of homeless people go hungry. All I'm saying is, it wouldn't happen in Korea. I would like to take this opportunity to recommend Korean food to each and every one of you. Their cuisine is delicious, their delicacies. They're the dog's bollocks. On holiday, I went walking in the lakes. It's called swimming. And while I was there, I met a very beautiful girl and I fell in love, but she was going out with a friend of mine, so I had to hide the way I felt. That's not easy wearing Speedos. Men tend to fall asleep directly after sex. All I'm saying is, maybe for women, put a bit more into it. Sorry, that's not meant to be misogynistic in any way. I was reading in Tits and Arse magazine. Very interesting and informative article. It was about the difficulties of asking your partner for anal sex. It was entitled, What if she takes it the wrong way? Sorry, I can see you're shifting uncomfortably there. I didn't mean to offend you. I'm sure whatever you decide about anal sex, I'm sure he'll be right behind you. It's easier to get forgiveness than permission. Just thought I'd slip that in. If you had to choose between saving your own life and saving the life of a loved one, most people agree, make a brilliant game show. Mother always said, if you haven't got anything nice to say, fuck off. I read an interview with Margaret Thatcher a couple of years ago, and in it she was talking about her funeral. She said, I don't want my funeral to be a morbid affair. I want it to be a celebration. I thought, well, you won't be disappointed, love. My sister had a baby. I went to see her. She said, do you want to wind him? I said, I'd give him a dead leg, shall I? Cats have got 9 lives, which makes them ideal for experimentation. A dog is for life, not just for Christmas. So do be careful at the office party. Watching sex on telly with mum and dad, that's embarrassing. I didn't even know they knew to use the camcorder. A very common male fantasy is to have 2 women at the same time. One to cook, one to clean. Easy there, I'm joking. They want to fuck them. I live quite near a special needs school. There's a sign outside. It says, slow children. I thought, well, that can't do much for their self-esteem. But look on the positive side, of course, they can't read it. Now, I'm afraid that's almost all I've got time for this evening, ladies and gentlemen. There's just one thing left that I'd like to do, which is go through some Jimmy Carr merchandise, if we could just lock the doors. I've gone for some comedy T-shirts, which I'd like to show you. They're just up here. You know, the comedy T-shirt, it's an underutilised medium, in my opinion. Hang on. What? It's a perfectly normal thing to do. Sell a bit away, you know, the Rolling Stones do it, why not me? This is the first one that I did. It's, I'm a stupid, what do you think? It says I'm a stupid, so you can wear it, and the person next to you, You know, it's got jimmycarr.com on the sleeve. I'm a stupid. On the back it says, the National Association of Special Needs Carers. Who thought that was it? It says, my girlfriend went on a UN-sponsored trip to investigate child labour in the Far East. And all I got was this lousy T-shirt. See, there's a very serious issue there. Children as young as 10 are working, you know, 80 hours a week in sweatshops in the Far East, stitching trainers. I wouldn't mind, but it's the workmanship that suffers. This one's rather predictable, but it's kind of fun as well. It's the Christian Alliance Against Bad Language. Can fuck off. Got another religious one now, but for a reason. This is the best-selling T-shirt ever in the world. Jesus loves you. It's the most popular T-shirt ever. Jesus loves you. He's not in love with you. I was going to go for he's not fussy about looks. I thought no. Incidentally, if we're all God's children, what's so special about Jesus? This is love hurts. It's a nice sentiment, isn't it? Love hurts. Sort of shows a sensitive side. Love hurts. Try a lubricated finger. This takes a little bit of explaining. It's True Love Waits is the slogan. It's the slogan of the Promise Keepers. They're an organisation in America that believe in holding on to their virginity and chastity until marriage. Britney Spears was a member. I think there's some footage of her leaving on the internet. Anyway, their slogan's True Love Waits. I thought, True Love Waits is such a lovely slogan. It deserves a T-shirt. True Love Waits. Pulls out and comes on her tits. Well, I imagine you're getting the hang of this by now, so, you know, try and guess this one. It's see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. What do you think? No idea? See no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. Rohypnol. Actually, there was a story in the paper earlier this year. There was a story about an Englishman arrested in Ayia Napa for taking advantage of 3 girls by putting Rohypnol in their drinks. What's the world coming to? In Ayia Napa. You're telling me Rohypnol is now cheaper than 3 Bacardi Breezers? Now this is a picture that the man on my right, your left, is on fire. Can you all see that? He's on fire. Special Olympics torture wives. I did briefly consider the phrase flame retarded. I thought, no. Let's not get out of hand. Well, this is the last one I'm going to leave you with this, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a pleasure talking to you this evening. Obviously, this is it's a lovely T-shirt. World's best dad. I don't know, are there any dads in? Yeah, this may be a nice thing for you to wear around the house. World's best dad. Nice, you wear that with pride. World's best dad. I fucked your mum. Well, I've been Jimmy Carr. You've been absolutely lovely. Thank you very much indeed. Cheers. Thank you. I don't know if that's ever happened to any of you, if you've ever had kind of quite a good day at work, you got everything done that you need to get done, it's all gone well, and then you've been kept behind at the end for some reason. Anyway, thanks very much. Right, the encore. I suppose I better do some more jokes. Really? How many do you want? 10, I could do 10. Should we count them down? Yeah, all right, why don't we count them down? Fuck it. I've got a friend, she's got a theory. She reckons the way to drive a man wild with desire to nibble on his earlobes for hours and hours. I think it's bollocks. One. Hang on, all together or not at all. 1. Oh, we've got to do this 10 times now. I've talked myself into a corner. Right. My mum told me the best time to ask my dad for anything was during sex. Not the best advice I've ever been given. I burst in through the bedroom door saying, "Can I have a new bike?" He was very upset. His secretary was surprisingly nice about it. I got the bike. 2. I went to the races last week with a friend. He said, "Don't back the heavily handicapped horses." I said, "I'm not a fucking idiot. I know that for them it's all about taking part." In their own way, they're all winners. In Pizza Express, you can now get garlic bread with cheese and tomato. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, that's a pizza. Well, 4 and fuck off. Not you. A lot of people say that men with big flashy cars have got tiny cocks. Am I the only one that reckons that women with spastis and people carriers? Well, clearly not. There was a worrying moment there where I thought I was going to have to say bucket fanny. Thankfully, that's been avoided. Ladies, if you get a burning sensation when you pee, it could be one of 3 things. It could be cystitis, it could be a bushfire, or it could be someone's talking about your vagina. When it comes to charity, a lot of people will stop at nothing. I saw a charity appeal in The Guardian a couple of weeks ago, and it read, "Little Zuki has to walk 15 miles every day just to fetch water." And I couldn't help thinking, she should move. I've sponsored a child in Africa. She's got the Jimmy Carr T-shirt, the Jimmy Carr hat. But I worry, is it doing any good? I've not got any more bookings. I was out last week collecting for a sponsored walk. In the end, I managed to raise so much money, I was able to afford a taxi. I tell you what, just before the end of the show, ladies and gentlemen, you know, we've had a fun night, haven't we? Yeah. That was quite a good laugh, I thought. I enjoyed myself. Fuck yeah. No, it's been really nice. Thank you very much indeed for coming out. I don't want to bring you down at the end of the show, but I'd like to just tell you this. It's quite a frightening fact. I'd just like to end on this. I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but if you took all the money that we in the West spend on food in just 1 week, you could feed the third world for 1 year. Now, I don't know about you good people, but I can't help feeling we're being overcharged for our groceries. I've been Jimmy Carr. Thank you very much indeed. Cheers. Thank you very much. Thanks very much. Cheers. Bye. I don't know if that's ever happened to any of you, if you've ever had kind of quite a good day at work, you've got everything done that you need to get done, it's all gone well, and then you've been kept behind at the end for some reason. Anyway, thanks very much. Right, the encore. I suppose I better do some more jokes. Really? How many do you want? 10? I could do 10. Should we count them down? Yeah, all right, why don't we count them down? Fuck it. I've got a friend, she's got a theory. She reckons the way to drive a man wild with desire to nibble on his earlobes for hours and hours. I think it's bollocks. One. Hang on, all together or not at all. One. Oh, we've got to do this 10 times now. I've talked myself into a corner. Right. My mum told me the best time to ask my dad for anything was during sex. Not the best advice I've ever been given. I burst in through the bedroom door saying, "Can I have a new bike?" He was very upset. His secretary was surprisingly nice about it. I got the bike. 2. I went to the races last week with a friend. He said, "Don't back the heavily handicapped horses." I said, "I'm not a fucking idiot. I know that for them it's all about taking part." In their own way, they're all winners. In Pizza Express, you can now get garlic bread with cheese and tomato. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, that's a pizza. Well, 4 and fuck off. Not you. A lot of people say that men with big flashy cars have got tiny cocks. Am I the only one that reckons that women with spasses and people carriers? Well, clearly not. There was a worrying moment there where I thought I was going to have to say bucket fanny. Thankfully, that's been avoided. Ladies, if you get a burning sensation when you pee, it could be one of 3 things. It could be cystitis, it could be a bushfire, or it could be someone's talking about your vagina. When it comes to charity, a lot of people will stop at nothing. I saw a charity appeal in The Guardian a couple of weeks ago, and it read, "Little Zuki has to walk 15 miles every day just to fetch water." And I couldn't help thinking, she should move. I've sponsored a child in Africa. She's got the Jimmy Carr t-shirt, the Jimmy Carr hat. But I worry, is it doing any good? I've not got any more bookings. I was out last week collecting for a sponsored walk. In the end, I managed to raise so much money, I was able to afford a taxi. I tell you what, just before the end of the show, ladies and gentlemen, you know, we've had a fun night, haven't we? Yeah. That was quite a good laugh, I thought. I enjoyed myself. Fuck yeah. No, it's been really nice. Thank you very much indeed for coming out. I don't want to bring you down at the end of the show, but I'd like to just tell you this. It's quite a frightening fact. I'd just like to end on this. I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but if you took all the money that we in the West spend on food in just 1 week, you could feed the third world for 1 year. Now, I don't know about you good people, but I can't help feeling we're being overcharged for our groceries. I've been Jimmy Carr. Thank you very much indeed. Cheers. Thank you very much. Thanks very much. Cheers. Bye.
Hello, I'm Jimmy Carr now, and this happened in the past. In 2005, I recorded a stand-up special called Stand Up, and still pretty funny. Check it out. I look a bit different, but you know, the jokes still work.
Well, thanks very much. I always feel slightly guilty at the beginning of a show because you all clapped and whooped. I've done nothing so far. I just walked from over there. It was easy. Anyone could have done it. You could have done it. Maybe not you, but most people could have done it. I always feel quite guilty because you've given so much, I've done so little. What if I'm shit? Don't panic, I'm not. Close to comedy genius. The Guardian. It's a newspaper for teachers, I don't expect you to understand. I am Jimmy Carr, off the telly. I know that because people come up to me and say, Jimmy Carr, off the telly. That tends to be less a description, more of a request. Fine. Swimming's good for you, especially if you're drowning. Not only do you get a cardiovascular workout, you also don't die. 2 ticks. I said to my girlfriend, I said, you shouldn't eat before you go swimming. She said, why? I said, you look fat. I've got a friend whose nickname is Shagger. You might think, that's pretty cool. She doesn't like it. You know those anti-AIDS red ribbons? You don't see so many of them around these days, do you? That is, I think, because these so-called anti-AIDS ribbons actually offer no protection. You think you're upset? I found out from a bloke in the gents. Do you realise that last joke makes me sound a little bit gay? I'm not. I realise I'm wearing the kind of shirt that's often lifted. But I'm not. My own mum thought I was gay. When I was 19, my mum was convinced I was gay. It's very difficult to convince your mum you're not gay. Until we got a camcorder, I was fucked. But I'm what's referred to as a gay-friendly act. You know? I'm a gay-friendly act. I was asked last November to judge Mr. Gay UK. I said it would be my pleasure. He's against nature and against God and he's going to hell. I think it's okay to tell that joke because it's almost impossible to offend a homosexual man. You know, because let's face it, they're doing that for fun. If your idea of a good time is a cock in your arse, what do you care? We've all thought about gay sex, though, haven't we? You've thought about gay sex, haven't you, sir? No. You haven't thought about gay sex. You just leapt in there and fucked him. Well, I admire your honesty, sir, and your bravery. I thought about gay sex. I thought, oh, my cock will get covered in poo. You're sniggering. What's your name, blonde lady? Who... Move along? What are you saying, Vicky? Dance for me, monkey boy? Is he your fella? Well, what do you mean? He's either your fella or he isn't. Is he your fella? Yeah. Sorry, she's saying yes, and you're saying no, and you've gone really red and you look really embarrassed. They're fuck buddies. Oh! I see. What? How very modern. How very 2005. So you're not going out with each other, but you are fuck buddies. That is fantastic. Can we just all take a moment to, you know, congratulate that man there? A lot of work has gone into that. A lot of work has gone into that. He's had to buy a Cosmopolitan for a couple of years. Sorry?
My parents are going to watch this.
And they'll know that you're a dirty little hussy. The great thing about that is that he's convinced you that, yeah, we don't need a relationship. It's so old-fashioned. I should be able to sleep with whoever I want to sleep with. And so should you, as long as it's just me. When I say... Yeah, there'll be a lot of jokes. It's not every day I get to talk to a slag. Come on. Now, I don't know where the mark is until I overstep it. That's my... You just did. That is juvenile. Sorry, for those of you that didn't see that, it'll be on the DVD. Available at all good car boots. Vicky's response to that, yeah, she's been called a slag at a show. That's not good in anyone's book, and I apologise for that unreservedly. But did you really need to do that? God bless you. I was doing a gig a couple of weeks ago. I got talking to a girl down the front. I asked her where she was from. She said, I'm from outside Birmingham. I said, really? So am I. What part of Birmingham aren't you from? At what point, and really I'm asking the men, at what point do you get paranoid about receiving enlarge your penis emails? It's not just me getting them, is it? It's just I'm currently getting about 10 a day. 8 of them are from my girlfriend. The 2 from my mum that really hurt. It's a rather pitying look you're giving me there, madam. I don't need your pity, frankly. I'm not particularly well hung, but I don't mind admitting that. I'm not embarrassed or ashamed, because I know that any woman that thinks being well hung is important is just shallow. Maybe that's not quite the right term to use. I broke up with a girl once because she lied about her weight. I say that, she died in a bungee jumping accident. You see, because she was heavier than... Has anyone got anything he could be colouring in? You look like some kind of surfer dude. What's your name?
John.
John? Where are you from, John?
The United States.
Well done. John, do you know the difference between a British soldier and an Iraqi soldier? The difference? And what do you do, John? What are you doing over there? I don't need to check your papers. I'm just checking, just asking.
I'm a college professor on vacation.
You're a college professor on vacation. Okay, sounds like a setup for a movie. With hilarious consequences. Yes. So what do you teach?
I teach philosophy and religious studies.
Philosophy and religious studies. Well done. So, do you teach philosophy to the brighter kids, and then if they don't get the hang of it, you go, I just believe in God, don't matter. Well, I'll tell you why I've asked you all to come this evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to talk to you about men that like obese women. I'm not talking about men that like women with a fuller figure. That seems entirely normal, natural and right. More cushion for the pushing, as I believe people say. I think that's the expression. No, I'm talking about men that like women who can't leave the house fat. So, I'm not talking about anyone in here this evening. Unless, in order to get out, someone had to cut the side of the house off. And there was some sort of winch involved. I'm not talking about people with water retention. I'm talking about people with cake retention. People that tell you they've got a thyroid problem. You say, oh, really, a thyroid problem? What are you taking for that? Pies? You know, the kind of girl that looks as if she makes a cracking breakfast, but wouldn't want to share it with you. I saw a thing on TV the other day, actually. It was on one of these kind of makeover shows that were on during the day. They did a makeover on a girl. She was 34 stone. It's like rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. I say a makeover, they gave her a fringe. Is that really going to turn the corner for a girl like that? That's what I'm asking. I don't think it will. I can't imagine a scenario where a guy, he's drinking in a bar, he looks across, he sees a girl, she's 34 stone. Be tough to miss her, let's face it.
He thinks to himself, she's a little bit big for me. Goes back to his drink. Meanwhile, the makeover team are in. Snip, snip, snip. He looks back, he thinks, actually, I would. It's the excuses that get me. The excuses are amazing. The camera adds £10. Stop eating fucking cameras. The reason I've become obsessed by this topic is because of a couple of documentaries on TV. There's one called Fatties and Their Feeders. Did anyone see it? It's an amazing sociological study of obesity in our country and the health problems inherent in that. And also, it was fucking hilarious. It was basically these tiny little stick-thin men bringing massive KFC buckets of food to these enormous women that couldn't even move. And while we're on the subject, do be careful with the KFC bucket. It's a big leap from plate to bucket. But from bucket to trough, not very far at all. The other one that was on was called Chubby Chasers. I like the title, Chubby Chaser. Sounds great. I just wonder, how accurate is that? How much chasing is actually going on? A little bit of waddling and wheezing. Then gotcha. Gotcha. The male gypsy moth can smell the female gypsy moth up to 7 miles away. And that fact also works if you remove the word moth. There's a lot of cliches about gypsies. Maybe you can help me out with this, sir. Have you ever tarmacked a drive? No, of course not. You just take the deposit and fuck off like the rest of them. You've been what, sorry?
Block-paved a few.
You've block-paved a few? Yes. You see, to my mind, that would be the same thing. I love the fact you've made a distinction. Ever tarmacked a drive? No, I've block-paved a few, but I can't imagine that's what he's getting at. What's your name?
Lee.
Lee. Hello, Lee.
Hello, Jimmy.
It's like a love... Yeah, nice to meet you, Lee.
What?
No, it's lovely to have you in. You seem to have taken that in the right way. I did that joke at a gig a couple of weeks ago. See, when I do that joke, I've got to pick on someone from the audience. So what I do is I look around quickly and I pick on someone who looks like a bikie. Not a problem. Anyway, I did this joke in Southend. Yeah, I picked on a big guy down the front who was laughing along with everything. He took it slightly the wrong way, really, like, properly insulted. Came up to me after the show and threatened me. But he was pretending to be a lot posher than he was. Because he was saying, well, I'm not a gypsy, so he's pretending to be really posh. And he tried to threaten me without swearing. That's a tough thing to do. He used the phrase, knuckle sandwich. And then he said, rather epically, do you like hospital food? No, I didn't say anything because I was a little bit afraid. On reflection, of course, I should have said, I'm with Bupa, it's delicious. I've got a choice of 3 starters. Do your fucking worst. Oh, sorry, Lee, I've labelled you a chav. I didn't mean to. I quite like the term chav. I read it in the papers before I heard it out loud. I thought it was pronounced shav. I should warn... Don't kick off, Lee. I'm middle class, but I'm hard. Al dente, you might say. If you got the al dente reference, you're middle class too. Well done. Things I genuinely really, really like gypsies. I've got some Romany blood in me on my mother's side, and I think it's an alternative lifestyle, but I think it's a good one. And the people that don't like gypsies, they're always saying, oh yeah, these travelling people, you've got to move them on. Isn't that playing into their hands? Right, well, we've done fat girls and gypsies. Religion. I used to be quite religious, and I'm fascinated by lots of religious groups. There's some brilliant ones. There's the people that wear the armbands, WWJD. Stands for What Would Jesus Do? And Christians wear them to remind them to be more like Christ in everyday life. They sort of see that and oh, what would Jesus do in this situation? Yeah. For the most part, they're very effective. They make people so annoying, you want to nail them to a cross. My absolute favourite Christian organisation of all time, it's called Christians Against Teenage Pregnancies. That's the Everest of hypocrisy, isn't it?
If Jesus taught us nothing else, he taught us that the unwanted babies of teenage mums can turn out all right. You look as if you didn't quite understand that. Do you know who the protagonist is? It's Jesus, born at Christmas or Easter. You must have heard of him. King of the Jews, best Jew ever. He could walk on water. Well, he probably couldn't walk on water. His mum probably just exaggerated. He was probably very good on ice skates. He died for your sins. Come. I said to my girlfriend, I said, on Saturday, how would you like to go shopping with the girls, get yourself some new shoes, get your hair done in a different style, and then go out for a couple of bottles of Chardonnay? She said, that sounds brilliant. I said, good, because we're breaking up. You know when a man says to you, it's not you, it's me? Ladies, you know when a man says that? It's not you, it's me. We mean that from the heart. That's not bullshit. That's true. It's just a fragment of a longer phrase. It's not you, it's me that's ending this relationship. Because I can't stand the fucking sight of you. You know when people argue just so as they can make up again? Call me cynical. I don't think that's what's going on in the Middle East. John Merrick, the Elephant Man, he was cruelly taunted all the way through his life. John Merrick was cruelly taunted all the way through his life. People said to him, you're the ugliest man in the world. But he didn't mind. Very thick-skinned. Does anyone know how John Merrick died? Anyone? In his sleep? Are you getting death mixed up with sleeping? You don't write gravestones for a living, do you? Not dead, just sleeping. Well, dig him up then. He'll be fucking livid. I know what you mean, though, because it's in the film and they take away a pillow and then people with elephant heads can't lie flat, as we all know. Yeah, if you like, why not? It's only a film. That's only a film, not actually how it happened. Any other suggestions as to how he died?
Wanking.
He died wanking. I don't know if you can die wanking. Hang on, I'll ask. Can you die with a... He's still here. That is a good response. Still here. I've had some great suggestions recently from the audience. Too many sticky buns. Be a great way for the Elephant Man to go. Another person said, a somewhat ironic allergy to peanuts. Someone suggested poachers. It's a long shot. Killed for his ivory. Yeah, it's a shame he's gone, but a lovely chess set. No, what actually happened was a bearded lady shot a dwarf out of a cannon and it landed on his elephant head. Freak accident. Come on. Has anyone here been to Alton Towers? Yeah. What do you think? Do you enjoy it? I enjoyed it. Yeah, it's great. Shit. Go on, who was that? Was you? Did you have a shit time? It was awful. My God. Tell me more.
The best thing about it, we robbed the fruit machine.
Sorry, the best thing about Alton Towers was we robbed a fruit machine. That is an amazing sentence. Sorry, sir, your time as the gypsy this evening is now... it's now over. That is... forget it. Forget it. You have been out-chavved. Well, you went to Alton Towers and your complaint was not enough to nick. I love the way you're using now an expression of, yeah, you see a fruit machine, you rob a fruit machine. Come on, we're friends, we all, come on. You know, I'm a guy, you're a guy, we steal things from fruit machines. No! What's your name, sir?
Daniel.
Daniel. Well, nice to meet you, Daniel. What do you do?
I work at a jeweller's in Coventry.
Unless you're the cleaner, they've made a massive error of judgment. So how long have you been casing this joint? About a year. And when's the big job? This is great. Do I get paid extra if this ends up on Crime Watch? Well, I liked Alton Towers. I thought it was good. I thought, you know, Alton Towers is good. Who thought it was good? Yeah, it's all right. It's like a poor man's Disney. Sort of place you might send a child who's dying of something that isn't that serious. What's he got? Asthma? We'll have a whip round. I'm making no promises. Brittle bones? Brittle bones. Has he been to Chessington? He'll have to bring his own cap, yep. The reason I mention Alton Towers is they've got a ride that they've been advertising on TV again. It's a vertical drop roller coaster. Correct me if I'm wrong, that's a lift. Right, good. Any questions so far?
How old?
What?
How old?
How old? Yeah, fuck grammar, we're in a hurry. How lazy is that? How old? Not how old are you, or would you mind telling us how old you are? How old?
28.
Well, have a guess. How old do you think I am?
12.
You think I'm 12? Well, you shouldn't even be having those kind of thoughts about me then. Do you know they've done that in Mexico? Do you know what the age of consent is in Mexico? It's 12. That's one way to deal with a paedophilia problem, isn't it? I imagine they've still got a problem. She looked 12 to me. I didn't always used to do this for a living. I used to work for an oil company. It was the same sort of thing. It was telling lies to strangers. But that was a bit more awkward. That was much more, yeah, don't worry about Nigeria. That'll be fine. When I did used to work for a living, I was always very jealous of the women that I worked with because women have the best excuse for a day off sick. I love a day off sick. Marvellous. Duvet, very nice and comfy. And women have the best excuse. The best excuse, as we all know, is women's problems. And the reason women's problems is the best excuse is because women's problems is the end of a conversation. Why didn't you come in yesterday? Women's problems. I like to think if I was the boss, things would be slightly different. Women's problems? Tits or fanny? Which is it? Maybe I could have a look. Well, I suppose I should really tell you a little bit about myself. Before I do, can I just ask, you two there, you look quite young. How old are you?
18.
You're 18?
Yeah.
Are you?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you adding 6 years to your age? Because you think I might be a fucking idiot? You're 18?
Yeah.
But you've got a growth hormone problem of some description. Not even, you're genuinely 18?
Yeah.
God, I've forgotten how young an 18-year-old boy looks like. Is that a bad thing to say? It's quite bad, isn't it? And your boyfriend, how old is he? What?
It's my brother.
It's your brother? Well, don't shag him then. I noticed that your shirt, is that a fashion thing? It looks like it's covered in spunk. But honestly, stand up and turn around. It's an amazing shirt. It's probably... What? Come on. Look at that. Right. It's quite a cool design when you look at it closely, but if you just glance at it, it looks like a plasterer's radio. That is a term used in the dogging fraternity, I believe. As in, I was out for the evening with Stan Collymore, I drove away with a car looking like a plasterer's radio. Well, I should, I suppose, you know, talk about myself a little bit. I grew up in Slough in the 1970s. If anyone wants to know what Slough was like in the 1970s, go there now. Actually, I went back recently. There's a sign as you drive in, it says Slough twinned with Montreux. I'll tell you this much, they're not identical twins. There's no chance of getting those mixed up. In fact, the only thing you need to know about Slough is one sign that we've got at the end of the high street. We've got one tourist information sign. Most towns of any note have many. We've just got the one. You know the ones that say, "You are here." Got one that says, "You are here," but someone's added a question mark. So it now reads, "You are here. Your travel agent is a cunt." I was educated in Cambridge University. Well, ooh, that's not an uncommon response. People think because you went to Cambridge, you're a little bit smug, a little bit up yourself. Not the case. The only reason I went to Cambridge is because I got 4 A's at A-level. Of course, the only reason I got 4 A's at A-level is because when I was at school, I didn't have that many friends, and, you know, I didn't have a girlfriend, certainly, and so no one would have sex with me. I used to go home every night like a good little boy and do my homework. Yeah. So next time you meet someone who's a bit overeducated and pompous, don't think to yourself, God, they're intimidating. Think, no good with a poontang. I got my big break in show business doing the Royal Variety performance a couple of years ago. It's quite a good gig, but then I had to meet Prince Charles afterwards, and that was a bit awkward. Because, you know, what do you say? I didn't know what to say to him. He didn't know what to say to me, you know. But he managed to cobble something together. That's his job, isn't it? Other than waiting for his mum to die. He cobbled something. He said, "Very funny indeed, very good deadpannery." Now, we all know deadpannery is not a real word. But it's his mum's English, he can say what he fucking likes. The great thing about being on TV a little bit is you get asked to do interesting things. I was asked last year to go on Countdown. I couldn't believe my luck. I thought, brilliant, I'll definitely do that. Because I've always had a thing for Carol Vorderman. I've always liked her. Not just because she's fit. No. Also for her mind. Although that's not what I tend to say. I tend to say I wouldn't mind fucking her brains out. Think about it, it'd take ages. I shall tell you a story about something else that happened because I'm a little bit on telly now, and people phone up and they ask you to do interesting things. I was asked about 3 years ago to write a journalistic piece for the first time. I was really excited. A Sunday paper phoned up. They said, "Would you like to write a piece for us?" I immediately agreed, and as a conversation went on, it transpired it was a piece for the motoring section called "My First Crash." I think I would have said no, but I'd already said yes earlier in the conversation. So, you know, what do you do? I said, yeah, OK, fine. And in the end, I was quite pleased with what I wrote. I wrote about sort of, 250 words on my first crash. I said, what happened was I went on a driving holiday, flew into Barcelona, rented a car, went around Spain, Portugal, France, just staying in sort of 3-star hotels and B&Bs and just kind of hanging around, yeah? And the idea was we would end up driving back to Paris, get the Eurostar back. Go first class, be quite exciting. It only just opened, so it was quite an exciting thing. We slightly mistimed it. So we're kind of late getting back into Paris. This is the days before, sat-nav. So we've got maps out. We're trying to work out how Paris is, it's a complicated city to get round. It's late at night. We got cut up by loads of guys on scooters. Just in an underpass, we just clipped a Merc. No harm done. Have you all seen that incredibly powerful commercial where every time a famous person clicks their fingers, a child dies? I was watching it, I couldn't help thinking, stop clicking your fingers. I went out to dinner last night, I killed 2 kids just getting the bill. For just £1 a day, you can feed a child in Africa. Sounds good, but I've checked, that's self-catering. I saw a thing on a notice board recently. They're organising a parachute jump for people with Alzheimer's. That's something that I'd pay to see. That's basically euthanasia. You all right, Grandad? Do you know what you're doing? I fought in the war. That's as maybe. 1,000, 2, 1,000. Are you my nephew? I've done quite a few charity gigs over the past year. I did one in this very room. It's for a charity which I now know is called Laughter for Leukemia. Now, I'd had a long day and I turned up late and, I made a mistake. I said it's lovely to be here laughing at leukemia. skinheads down the front didn't like it. I was in Los Angeles last year. I did a gig for The Big Issue. They were relaunching The Big Issue out there, and they'd organised this big sort of gala gig. They asked me to do 5 minutes. I said it'd be my pleasure. And what they'd done, which I thought was quite interesting, they'd invited a lot of the homeless people along to the gig. So a whole section of the audience were homeless people, vendors of The Big Issue in Los Angeles. And I thought, what a brilliant thing, because you think hungry and homeless, but you don't think, you know, they could do with a night out. Night out's not the right phrase, but you get my drift. I walked out, I said, it's lovely to see so many bums on seats. This didn't translate, really. This is the problem with doing charity gigs for other people. What you want to do is have your own foundation, your own kind of, you know, your own charity. That's the brilliant thing that kind of big A-list celebrities get to do. They get to have their own charity. I'd love to do that. Look at Michael Jackson, he's got his own charity. The Neverland Foundation. They fly sick children. What, good-looking sick children. They fly good-looking sick children who look as if they could keep a secret into the Neverland Ranch, and they give them massive cash payouts. Valuable work. Who here, while we're on the topic, who here thinks Michael Jackson's innocent? Person down there? Quite a lot of people here? Who? Go on, show of hands. So hands right up in the air. Quite a lot of you think Michael Jackson's innocent. And do you know what? You've got morality on your side, because he was found innocent by a jury of his peers, albeit Americans. Still counts. I wouldn't have bothered with the whole trial. I just would have stood up in front of the jury and simply said this. If I was a billionaire paedophile, and I'm not, but if I was a billionaire paedophile, I definitely have a fun fair in my back garden. He couldn't be any more dodgy if his house was made out of sweets. Who here's got kids? Who here's got kids? You've got kids? You've got kids? Would you let them play at Michael Jackson's house? No? No. You would? You look like quite an old fella. How old are your kids? In their 20s, yeah. Would you have let your children play at Michael Jackson's house when they were about 12? No. For $10 million? You'd have to think about it. What I'd like to do is start a Jimmy Carr Foundation. Yeah? It's a good idea, isn't it? I'm only I'm a D-list celebrity, but, I could build and grow. I've got a couple of ideas for charities. I'd like to workshop them this evening. Good. I'm glad you're so keen on the idea. The first one, well, there's a terrible problem, a global problem, with amputeeism in sub-Saharan Africa because of all the landmines. Now, there's a lot of charities dealing with the landmine problem, picking up the pieces there. It's a bad choice of words, I know, but there's a lot of charities dealing with the landmines and clearing the landmines, but very few dealing with the residual problem of a lot of people with only one leg because the other one's been blown off. Yeah? That's a serious global problem. That almost looks too big to tackle, yeah? But we in the West, we've got our problems too. Who here in this room can tell me they don't have a problem with odd socks? What I'm saying is you take those two problems, you put them together, what have you got? You've got a solution. Odd socks for Africa, who's with me? If there's one thing worse than having your leg blown off, it's the remaining foot being cold. The next idea I've had for a charity is not quite as PC as all that. Domestic violence. There's a topic for you. It happens, people don't like talking about it, but it happens in all our communities. Yeah? Something needs to be done. There's a lot of charities dealing with the aftermath. Very few doing anything preventative. I'd like to start a Jimmy Carr halfway house. A place where women can go and be safe and secure. And be re-educated about cooking and cleaning and putting out... Doesn't need to happen. There's nothing sad in seeing a woman with two black eyes. She's been told twice, she just doesn't understand. You're looking slightly disapproving there, madam. You all right? I like the fact that you two look incredibly rock and roll in a sea of middle class. What a wonderful thing. What do you do? Are you in a band or something?
Me?
Yeah.
No, I work in a shop called Cyber.
Called Cyber what? Cyberdog? Where do you think I got this? Hey? It's rubber on the inside. I might have a funky underpinning. I don't know what a funky underpinning is. That's how unfunky I am. Were you expecting more thrash metal at this gig? Yes, I'm sorry to disappoint. And your partner there, so you've got a similar look about you. What do you do, sir?
I manage a fetish clothing shop.
You manage a fetish clothing shop. Whereabouts?
Covent Garden.
Covent Garden. It's a great spot for it. What's the weirdest request you've ever had in the store?
Someone wanted a douchebag fitted to a catsuit.
Someone wanted a douchebag fitted to a catsuit. They're all words I vaguely understand, and yet when you say them, what? Hang on, what's a douchebag?
It's a special facility that goes back to the catsuit so that you can defecate into them at will.
Oh, a douchebag! Oh, I thought you said something else. Oh, all right. The device I have on my catsuit so I can defecate at will. Surely if you've got a catsuit on, you should really be going in the sandpit. Are you off to buy a... Did we just say defecate at will and you were off? Have you been hypnotised at some point? Should say it's lovely to see so many ladies out this evening, especially a show starting at 7 o'clock. The tea won't make itself. You're just staring, quietly judging. Yes, quite right. No. You look quite annoyed.
I get it from him all the time.
You get it from him all the time, do you? You lucky girl. I bet you love it. Sorry, it's in 1975. What do you do?
I work in a bookshop.
You work in a bookshop? Is it an adult bookshop?
In the children's section.
In the children's section of an adult bookshop. That is bad. Did you know women reach their sexual peak after 35 years? Men reach theirs after about 4 minutes. Which is why we get more done. My girlfriend said to me, "Have you been having sex behind my back?" I said, "Who the fucking hell do you think it was?" And another thing, it wouldn't kill you to turn around once in a while, check how I'm doing. Are you all drinking this evening, ladies and gentlemen? You drinking? Yeah, quite a few of you. I like drinking. I prefer being drunk than getting drunk. I'm not very keen on beer and wine, but I like the interesting thing is you order when you're drunk. The drinks that no one ever orders sober. Aftershock is a prime example. You know that weird pink fluid? No one's ever ordered that. So the designated driver has never walked into a bar and thought, well, I can have one drink, can't I? They've got beer, they've got wine, they've got spirits. No. I'll have a pipette of Aftershock, please. It's the same with the Flaming Zambuca. No one's ever ordered one of those sober. You have? You've ordered a Flaming Zambuca sober?
It's not a drink.
It's your drink. You order Flaming Zambucas? The clue as to why you shouldn't order one, madam, is the fact it's on fire. It's the equivalent of walking into a kitchen going, I'm a bit thirsty. There's a glass and a tap, and then spotting out the corner of your eye, a gas hob. The only reason I could possibly think of to order a Flaming Zambuca when sober is if you meet a girl and she's something just a little bit special. Yeah? Maybe you've been out on 2 or 3 dates, you've established she's beautiful, she's intelligent, she's funny. You think you might be in love with her, you think she might be the one, but she's got a bit of a problem with facial hair on the top lip. That can be an awkward thing to bring up. Much better, I think, take her out for a drink. 2 Flaming Zambucas, please. No, they're both for you. You know, and you drink Flaming Zambucas as well? Whereabouts are you from?
Newcastle.
Oh, of course. Sorry, I'm sorry. I'm terribly sorry. I was asking kind of a London audience, do you drink flaming Zambucas when sober? If I thought there were people in from Newcastle, I would have said, what do you like to drink to get you in the mood for a fight? So what, are you down here on the Rob, or what are you up to?
So we sent you an email saying if you wanted to go out for drinks in Newcastle, we'd show you the better sites.
The best sites in Newcastle? I imagine the one where you go... Oh. The best. I know this isn't particularly PC, but I still can't forgive the Germans for the way they treated my granddad during the war. Passed over for promotion time and time again. On Remembrance Sunday, do spare a thought for the German ex-servicemen. At least our old soldiers are remembering winning. Now shit's their day out. I was in Germany recently doing a comedy gig. I was flown out there to do one of these corporate gigs. I thought, comedy, Germany, it's missionary work. Went out there, did a comedy gig. The gig went fine, but on the way back there was about a 3-hour delay at the airport. Now I thought, that's not a problem, I've got an iPod and a computer. I was quite, busying myself. I was quite happy. The guy I was travelling with, the guy that organised the corporate gig, was livid with this 3-hour delay. And he said, with no hint of irony, he said, yeah, say what you want about Hitler. At least when he was around, the trains ran on time. I thought, yeah, but think about where they were going. I was in Edinburgh last year. I saw a sign in a window. It said, watch batteries fitted. I thought it was probably not the best show on. There's a sign up in my street saying the priorities of the traffic lights have changed. There's another sign saying, children, please drive carefully. I was driving on the motorway, I saw a sign on the back of a truck, a little sticker, it said, how am I driving? I thought, well, if you don't know... I've got a sticker on the back of my car, it says, keep your distance. I just need a little space right now. It's not you, it's me. You've got a question?
No, I've got one of those, right?
You've got one of those?
In the curry house near where I live.
Yeah.
Try one of our curries, you'll never get dressed up.
That is fucking brilliant. Do you think they mean it to be like that? Sorry, I don't know if everyone heard. It was the, in the curry house near you live. It says, try one of our curries, you'll never get better. That is fantastic. I saw a sign in the park. It said, remove dog nuisance. So I shot a poodle. I was in Australia. I saw a sign. It said, convenience store, 75 miles. No, I'm not even going that way. My favourite road sign of all time, it's a red triangle, and it says underneath falling rocks, and inside there's pictures of falling rocks. What am I meant to do with that information? It may as well just say random accidents ahead. Life's a lottery, be lucky. I think we've established so far, I'm not a prude, I don't mind talking about sex, and I certainly don't mind swearing. No problem with any of that. But I'm genuinely offended by an advert that's on TV at the moment. It's for a brand of thrush treatment. It's Caniston or Gaveston, it's one of the two, I can't remember. Which one is it, Caniston or Gaveston? Caniston. Which one, sorry? Caniston. Thank you, ladies with thrush. The reason I'm offended by it is I just don't see the point. Who's watching that and thinking, this is a well-made commercial? I like the actors, I like the script, I like the sort of tagline at the end of the ad. I'm going to buy some of that. I don't have thrush, but I'm going to buy some. Or who's sitting there going, that looks interesting, I might buy some of that. I'm baking bread down here. It's all very well going on a round-the-world trip on your holidays. Where are you going to go next year? I had a survey done on my house. 8 out of 10 people really rather liked it. If you're not part of the solution, you're a solid or a gas. I was in a club last week. I saw a sign outside the cloakroom. It said £1 per item. So I bought a coat. I was in a restaurant. I asked the waiter where the gents was. He said, just go down the stairs. Try our curries, you'll never get better. Still having a bit of a giggle from that. My mother used to say to me, she was a very funny woman, my mother. She was a very kind of larger-than-life Irish lady. She used to say to me when I was little, she used to say, there are no strangers, just friends you haven't met yet. Don't talk to them. My dad took me to one side on my 21st birthday. He said to me, he said, Jimmy, the past is history. The future is a mystery. Right now is a gift. That's why it's called the present. I said, what, you didn't get me anything? Again? A wise old man once said to me, he said, people never really listen, they're just waiting for their turn to talk. At least I think that's what he said. I was driving through a very rough area of South London. I saw a big police sign by the side of the road. Big yellow and black thing. It said, violent crime here. Tuesday. 7:30. Can you help? No, I appreciate they're trying to bring communities together, but I don't even approve. I had a thing happen to me a couple of weeks ago, actually. In North London, close to where I live. I was walking home about 11:30 at night, and this young kid, about 15 or 16 years of age, comes running out of an alleyway at high speed. He's all out of breath and panting and clearly in some distress. He says, help, help, me and my mate are being mugged. I said, all right, calm down, take a breath. Of course I'll help. My mate and I are being mugged. In the pursuit of scientific answers, animals have been tortured for the past 100 years. They're still not talking. I'm starting to think they don't know anything. I saw a brilliant bit of medical research that's been done recently. They've come up with a new product. It's like Viagra. It's like a Viagra inhaler that will give a man an erection within 30 seconds. Correct me if I'm wrong. A Viagra inhaler that will give a man an erection within 30 seconds. That's a blowjob. Another company spent hundreds of thousands of pounds researching the Atkins diet and came to the conclusion that it can cause depression. Now, I could have told you that without any need for research. That's just deductive reasoning. Everyone knows fat people are jolly. The British Medical Association are not above this kind of thing. They did some research saying irrefutably cigarettes can harm your children. Fair enough. Use an ashtray. I worry about my nan. If she's alone in the house and she falls, does she make a noise? I'm joking. She's dead. I do try and see the positive when something bad happens. You know, if somebody close to you dies, it's always a good idea. Move seats. I remember when my nan was really ill in hospital, we went to visit her in Limerick, in Ireland. Went over to see her, and it was, you know, near the end, and the doctor came out, and he said to us, he said, oh no, she's very bad now. She can't breathe without oxygen. I thought, where did you get your medical degree? The internet? All I'm saying is every cloud has got a silver lining. You can always see the fun in something, even if it's, you know, something tragic and terrible. You know, we've all been to funerals, haven't we? We've all been to a funeral at some stage. It's a very sad event. But, you know, every cloud has a silver lining. You know, and a relative, an elderly relative at death's door is a day off waiting to happen. What's a funeral? It's about an hour. It tends to be in the morning. The rest of the day is your own. I don't want you to judge me, ladies and gentlemen, but when my nana died, we went bowling. Not immediately on hearing the news, but that afternoon after the funeral, we went bowling. You know, life goes on. Not hers, obviously. She was in a box, on fire. I was on fire, 3 strikes. I could see a couple of kind of An older gentleman. How old are you, sir? You look a little bit older than... Yeah. 70. Well, 70's quite old, I think. Yeah. Nice to have you here, sir. Nice age range. What do you do? Fine, well, you've earned that, frankly. Some of these fucking layabouts. I bet it was different in your day, wasn't it? 70, I bet you were loving the anti-German stuff, weren't you? Yeah, fuck 'em. You know what? PC or no PC, we won it fair and square. The thing I was going to say was, I've been told this once. Have you ever said to anyone, yeah, the problem with your generation, you think you invented sex? You ever said that to anyone? No. Yeah. My granddad said it to me. He said, the problem with you lot, you think you invented sex. I said, all right, Grandad, have you ever fucked Nana up the arse, pulled out and come on her tits? Turns out he had, that's what killed her. What? What's the matter with that? And don't you dare be offended by that, you know, by there being a 70-year-old man. I bet you were crazy for it in the war. Jesus, there being a war on, I bet you got more poontang in those years. Yeah, we could all die tomorrow. It's the best chat-up line in the world. Who are you here with? She looks mortified. You all right? I'm glad. I can only apologise for the last bit of material about the grandad with the bum sex and the coming. Because I imagine what I've created is the longest journey home ever. Yeah, Dad, I enjoyed the show. Let's never talk again. Oh. Right, what else was I going to talk about? It's 18 years since the Chernobyl disaster. Is it just me that's surprised? Still no superheroes. Nothing. Not so much as a giant lizard. Is anyone married in? Who's married? Yeah? Well, what's the longest someone's been married?
2 days.
2 days? Who's been married for 2 days? You got married on?
Friday.
On Friday? Well, congratulations. Well done, you. And can I ask, is she pregnant or is this a proper one? Sorry?
I've done that already.
You already have a child, and now you got married? Get out. Get out of my house! Well, that's a lovely thing. Oh, well, congratulations. Thanks for coming. Wow. You know, you've married that guy. He looks like a great guy, looks amazing, and clearly he set the bar pretty low early on. Where are we going on our honeymoon? We're going to see Jimmy Carr live. Well, well done. You know, good luck with it, is all I'm saying. Good luck. Because we all know a third of marriages end in divorce. I don't want to put a damper on things, but a third of marriages end in divorce, and they're the lucky ones. The others are dying. I'd rather go to jail than get married. I have thought this through, by the way. Rather go to the jail than get married. But, you know, if you murder someone, that's the worst thing you could do. You murder someone, you get a life sentence. You're out in 12 years. Hey! Whereas this, life means life. And in your average marriage, as opposed to prison, there is significantly less anal sex. See if you think this is romantic. Really, I'm asking the ladies. Do you think this is romantic? I've got a friend, she's getting married at the end of the summer, and her fiancé has designed the wedding ring. He's quite a talented artist. Picked out the diamond when he was down in South Africa. Quite a talented artist, done sketches, taken them to a jeweller in Hatton Garden who's putting the whole project together for him. That's romantic, isn't it, ladies? Yes. Yeah. I think it almost makes up for the fact that she's clearly marrying a homosexual. She's going to have an amazing ring, not much of a wedding night. I imagine it'll be something along the lines of, come to bed, darling. I'm just going to walk the dog in the park. We don't have a dog. I'll be in the park. while we're on the subject, is anyone in favour of gay marriage? Who's in favour of gay marriage? Yeah. By shouting out, who's in favour of gay marriage? Yeah. I'll tell you why you're wrong. Gay marriage will inevitably lead to gay divorce, and that will be bitchy. I'll tell you what happened to me recently. I was having a meeting in Mayfair in London, walked out of the restaurant while we were having the meeting, and I bumped into a guy selling the big issue. About 22, 23 years of age, and I got talking to him. I bought the big issue off him. I buy it, I don't read it. I don't mind the big issue, but, you know, magazine for the homeless, there's not one advert for a flat. They're not trying, are they? Anyway, got talking to this guy, I asked him what was going on in his life. He said, I'm looking for somewhere to live. I said, right. We're in Mayfair. Did you not play Monopoly when you were a child? You want to get yourself down the Old Kent Road, mate? It's not just an expression. Beggars can't be choosers. I've got a cautionary tale for the men in the room. This concerns, you know, the kind of ability that men have got to say something immediately. They don't think about it, just walk straight out. Or didn't know I'd said it. They kind of think it and then talk at exactly the same time. This happened to two friends of mine, Dave and Susan. They've been going out for years and years and years, 10 years, since college. Susan went home for the weekend to see her parents. They had Sunday lunch together, they got a little bit tipsy over lunch. Nothing the matter with that, you would think. Lovely. All the way up to Hull to see them. Got drunk over Sunday lunch. Somehow the topic of wife swapping came up. And her parents, for a joke, said, oh, we were terrible for that back in the 70s. Oh, keys in a bowl at a party. Oh, terrible. Oh, always doing it. We don't know who your real dad is. They said that to their daughter. Now, she was fine at the time because she was drunk at a lunch. But then on the train ride home, she starts to feel a bit grimy and horrible and, oh. And eventually she works herself up into a real state. She thinks, well, maybe it was a joke on me. Maybe they were joking, but I was the butt of the joke. Maybe they did do that in the 70s. Maybe he's not my real dad. Oh, God. She got into Dave, and of course what Dave should have done is taken her in his strong, loving arms. Hey, it's just a silly joke. I'll pop the kettle on, I'll make you a cup of tea, I'll run you a bath. Shh. That is what he should have done. But that's not what he did. That's not what he said. What he said, without skipping a beat, I've killed an African child. But what he said, without skipping a beat, straight away, who got your mum? Tits or bum? Tits. Tits or bum? Bum. Tits or bum? Tits. Tits or bum? Tits. Tits or bum? Pecs. Pecs. Oh, yeah. You're not here for the jokes. Tits or bum? Tits, clearly. Tits or bum? Bum. Tits or bum? Bum. Every man in the room has now made their decision. Tits or bum. There's only two categories of men. We'll leave that for another day. There's two categories of men, tits or bum. That's it. Every man in the room will have made their decision by now. You might be sitting next to someone you've been married to for 18 years. You might be thinking, well, actually, our relationship is a little bit deeper than just tits or bum. We're best friends, there's a spiritual connection, it's been going, you know. It's a little bit more than just tits or bum, Mr. Funny Man. Whereas he'll be thinking, terrific norks. The reason I mention it is because I've never heard a woman make that distinction. I've never once heard a woman say, yeah, cock, I could take or leave. But a nice set of clangers, oh. When I was at school, if you got your right ear pierced, it meant you were homosexual. And if you got your left ear pierced, it meant you were common and you lived on an estate. I had a friend when I was at school called Russell. Well, I say he was a friend. He was actually someone that just came and sat next to me when I was 5 on the first day of school and continued to hang around for the next 17 years, inviting himself along to things and just generally being there and getting in the way. We've all got one of those, haven't we? If you're thinking, I haven't, it's you. And I'm not proud of this, but it happened. We were at a party, we got very drunk, we were about 16 or 17, and he got really drunk, Russell. He was kind of laid out drunk, passed out on the floor. And myself and my other friend, Anthony, we shaved his eyebrows off. He was really surprised. But you couldn't tell. Does anyone in here work in the medical profession by any chance? Yeah? What do you do?
Ward sister.
You're a what, sorry?
Ward sister.
A ward sister? Well done. That's a great job. I always wanted to work in the medical profession. Wanted to be a doctor.
So did I.
Well, maybe if you'd worked harder. No, ward sisters are perfect. Yeah, it's a great job. It's a brilliant thing. But I always wanted to work in the medical profession because, you know, I liked the lab coat and I thought the stethoscope was cool and I thought chicks would like me. Chicks would like me. I'm not quite sure what I was thinking. But I could never become a doctor because I didn't have the chemistry or the maths or the physics you needed to get in. And also, I'm quite an uncaring person. If someone's sick, I sort of think, fuck them. But I think I found a hospital in South London where I'll be able to get a job. It's the Wandsworth Hospice for Incurable Diseases. How tough could that be? You'd stroll in about 11:30, chat up with a couple of nurses, you know, check what's for lunch. A patient would come up. Can you do anything, doctor? Did you not read the sign? The only thing better than being a doctor, I think, would be to be a vet. I'd love to be a vet. Because vets are like doctors, they're admired in the community. Is any vets in by any chance? You're a vet? You're a student vet. You have picked a winner. The great thing about being a vet, and you're just a student vet, but the great thing about being a vet is you've got the Joker card you can play. If you absolutely have to be somewhere at 6:30, you can play the Joker card. The big injection. If you can't work out what the problem is, or it's too much bother, whoop, gone. That problem has gone away. The veterinary surgery, the local vets, has got an incinerator out the back, for a reason. Because they're busy people. I've never once heard a doctor say, yeah, your 10-year-old boy's had a good innings. He's quite severely asthmatic. You know, we could keep him alive with pills and injections and whatnot, but it's quite expensive and a little bit messy. It'd be much easier if I just put him off to sleep with this. And vets always try and sweeten the deal as well, with the, I could take care of the body for you. Yeah, for £75. It's a spaniel, I live next to a canal. You work it out. Got a strange thing with doctors and nurses, because I really do admire people in the medical community, because I don't have, you know, a god in my life or whatever. So doctors and nurses are like secular gods. They bring us into the world, they let us, you know, take care of us when we're alive and let us die with dignity. It's an extraordinary thing. But I've never asked a doctor or a nurse about that. The only thing I've ever asked a doctor or a nurse about when I've met one, either socially or at a gig, is what's the weirdest thing you've ever pulled out of an arse?
I'm a gynecology nurse, so we don't generally pull out that orifice.
Really? You pulled anything interesting out of the other?
Batteries, balls, hairballs, lots of hair flips.
Sorry, hang on. Slow down. Batteries, corks, bottle tops, pebbles, tops of hairspray cans. That wasn't all one lady, was it? If it was, do you have a number? She sounds like she'd be up for anything. Wow, that's pretty grisly. I had a story recently from a nurse about, she said the weirdest thing she ever pulled out of an arse was a vibrator. That's pretty plain vanilla, it's where they're meant to go. She said the funny thing about it was when they x-rayed him, it was still vibrating. That's awful, isn't it? For many reasons. I imagine the poor guy doing the x-ray was hitting the machine going, this thing's on the fritz again, he's standing there. What an agonising wait in A&E, though. Excuse me, sir, could you turn off your mobile phone? It's not a mobile phone. Well, what is it? I've got a prosthetic cock vibrating my arse. As you were. I'm guessing from your laugh today you've pulled something weird out of your arse. No? There's definitely a story. There definitely is. It just made you laugh?
Yeah.
Did it? What, when it came out or when you put it in? Do you know what, we'll leave it. Do you all carry donor cards, Bloomsbury? Clearly not. Well, you all should carry donor cards. It's a no-brainer. If you die and you're in reasonably good health, and I realise that's counterintuitive, but if you die and you're in reasonably good health, you can help 70 people. 70, not just one or two, not just the major organs. They can take so much. They can harvest the body and help so many people. 70, they reckon. You should all get a donor card. The only thing I've written on my donor card is a clause in biro.
I've said I'd like all 70 things to go to the same person. Because that way it's less of a donation, it's more a hostile takeover. It's just me with new kidneys. Hooray. I went out to dinner with my girlfriend, and out of nowhere she said, "Would you still love me if I was a cripple?" I thought, hang on. That's a silly question. I'd leave if you put on half a stone. Obviously, I didn't say that. I said, yeah, I'd prefer it. Here's a piece of advice for you. Never leave electrical goods plugged in overnight. 2 exceptions, fridges and life supports. You'll waste an awful lot of vegetables. Hang on, that was a bit harsh. We better do something a bit lighter. It's ironic that people with club feet tend not to be very good dancers. Has anyone here read Stephen Hawking's Brief History of Time? Did you understand it all? No. Well, fair enough. I understood about half of it. I think that's pretty good going, though, when you consider he wrote it with a straw. Cut him some slack. There's bound to be some typos. Now, I've got no problem doing jokes about disability. It's fine. It's just wordplay. There's no prejudice in it. There's no malice. I would tell the same jokes if there was someone in with any of the conditions. But I heard a brilliant story about a comic who did something truly, truly terrible. He was doing a gig, turned up to the theatre, quite a well-known, quite a famous comic, turned up to the theatre. I shan't tell you his name, but he was quite a famous sort of TV comedian. Turns up to the theatre, refuses to go on. They said, why won't you go on? He's looked on from the wings, he spotted that the front row is full of people in wheelchairs. He said, I'm not going on. They said, why? Why won't you go on? He said, well, a lot of my act is banter with the front row. I tease and, you know, pick on the front row. I don't feel comfortable with it. I'm not going on. They said, what? I can't believe it. He drove off. He just left. I thought, Jim. Jim, they're making it easy for you. What is it about being blind that makes you want to walk the dog the whole time? Say what you want about the deaf. There's a company in America now making thongs, you know, the item of underwear, size 26 and over. That's big, isn't it? I just question, is it necessary? I think any pair of knickers over size 20 is a thong within 4 steps. We're all familiar with the hungry bum syndrome. I saw a woman earlier on the street, looked like she was chewing a toffee. I've discovered, gentlemen, the worst thing you can say when your girlfriend says to you, does my bum look big in this? Is not yes. The worst thing you can say is, let me step back, get it all in. My girlfriend used to get annoyed with me because I used to leave the toilet seat up, so I don't do that anymore. Always put it down. Yeah. Because it's a woman that I love and I want to spend the rest of my life with. It's only a little thing, but a little means a lot. Yeah. Of course, there's no winning with her. Now she's annoyed because it's covered in piss. They say don't masturbate, you'll go blind. Yeah, only if you get it in your eyes. Aim away. Who do you think about when you masturbate? Her? So do I, she's lovely. That was a good answer. You think about your partner when you masturbate. I think I'll put my hand on my heart, speak on behalf of every man in here and say, when we masturbate, we think about you ladies. We think about our partners, our wives and our girlfriends. Yeah? We think, we do. I do, I always think of my girlfriend. I think, Ocean's walk in. She doesn't even know I've got these magazines. I'd like to end by talking about threesomes, because it tends to divide the sexes. Most men would be quite up for a threesome with 2 girls. Most women don't really fancy that action. If you're asked to bring a friend, you tend to get a little bit offended. And I think it's because men are such bad communicators. You know, when we ask for that, women sort of hear, oh, what? I'm not enough woman for you. You need 2 women to satisfy you because you're such a big man. That's not what we're saying, ladies. What we're saying is, wouldn't it be brilliant if after sex there was someone there for you to talk to? So, Jimmy Carr, thank you very much indeed. Cheers. Good night. Thank you. Thanks very much.
I'm never quite sure how to take an encore. I'm never quite sure what it means. It either means we've had a lovely time, we'd just like a few more minutes, or £17 for that, you're having a fucking laugh. Shall I tell you what this is like, ladies and gentlemen? It's very much like, after talking to you for about an hour, it's like being at a dinner party and realising you're the only one on cocaine. You find yourself thinking, they're not a very chatty bunch. If it wasn't for me, this would be shit. I was going to tell you a story about a gig I did recently. I did a gig for Mojo magazine. It's a big, you know, pop magazine. And did a gig, it all went well. I was doing their award show for them. They invited me on. They said, yeah, will you do our awards? I said, my pleasure, lovely. Lots of rock stars and rock chicks would be cool. There was the awards there. I was just doing sort of 10-minute stand-up to begin with. I told a slightly anti-American joke. I said, of course, in Britain, we've got eat as much as you like restaurants, whereas in America, you've got eat as much as you can. You've added that important ingredient, competition. So not only could you be enjoying a delicious meal, you could be beating a personal best. Thus, the necessity for 3 pockets on the back of your jeans, you fat fucks. And a voice from the back of the room shouted, fuck off! I thought, I presume you're American, are you? He said, yes. I said, think of it as friendly fire. He then shouted, fuck off again, but louder. I thought, well, I better deal with this. I said, I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, the only reason I got into comedy and doing this kind of thing is because I thought it would be a bit of a fanny magnet. I wasn't expecting a cunt like that. At which point, the editor of Mojo magazine, who was sitting just down here, got up and looked like he was going to come round and pull me off. Not like that. That was funny, well done. No, you go ahead. I sort of signalled to him to stop. I signalled to him to stop. I said, I'm sorry, sir, it was a cheap shot. It's a bullseye, doesn't matter. And I apologise unreservedly, sir. I did not mean to... Well, I mean, the thing was, the line got a laugh, but then there was an audible, ooh. I thought, well, who have I told to fuck off? It was a guy called Anthony Kiedis, who's the lead singer of the Red Hot Chili Peppers. And I'd noticed on the way in that he was on the cover of Mojo magazine, and I wasn't. I thought, this is a social faux pas of epic proportions. You know, and I thought, well, I better apologise unreservedly. I said, I am sorry. If I've caused any offence, I'm sorry. I did not mean to call you a cunt. I'm sure you're not. I'm sure you don't have the depth or the capacity to give pleasure. I'd say comfortably 4 minutes later, I was presenting him with a Lifetime Achievement Award. A chicken that has had its head chopped off can run the entire length of a football pitch before it dies. That's what I call an opening ceremony. My girlfriend used to think that magazines like Zoo and Nuts and FHM and Maxim were pornographic, till she found my real stash. Obviously, I mean, it goes the other way too. You know, men are no good at stopping and asking for directions. Would you agree with that, ladies? Yeah, men are no good at stopping and asking for directions. Of course, on the other hand, maybe we wouldn't have to if you could read a fucking map. I've got no problem buying tampons. I'm a fairly modern man. But apparently they're not a proper present. Happy birthday, Mum! Listen, thank you very much for coming out. You've been a great audience. Thank you. Cheers. Good night. Thanks very much. Thanks very much.
From New York City, Comedy Central presents Jimmy Carr.
thank you very much indeed, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Jimmy Carr. We'll move on, shall we? I should warn you, ladies and gentlemen, before I get started, that in my show there is a certain amount of bad language. I'm not talking about split infinitives. There is some swearing and there is some material of a sexual nature. So if you are offended by rude or crude material, for heaven's sake, don't be a about it. Now, some of you may be having difficulty with my accent. Of course, technically, I don't have an accent. I'm English. This is just how things sound when they're pronounced properly. My girlfriend said she wanted me to tease her. I said, all right, fatty. She sat me down recently for one of those serious relationship conversations where she talked at me for about 6 hours. I hadn't realised until then that when a man says he is spoken for, that is quite literally what he means. And she said to me, she said, Jimmy, we're at a crossroads in our relationship. Down one road is hard work and commitment, but ultimately, happiness. And down the other road, well, the other road is a dead end. And I said, that's not a crossroads, that's a T-junction. Well, I'm glad you laughed. She went mental. I was doing a show a couple of weeks ago. I got talking to a girl in the front row. I asked her name. She said, it's Pataka. I said, that's an unusual name. You don't hear that every day. To which she replied, actually, I do. I asked her where she was from. She said, I'm from outside New York. I said, really? So am I. What part of New York aren't you from? At what stage, and I'm really asking the men in the room when I ask this, at what stage do you get paranoid about receiving enlarge your penis emails? I'm not the only one getting them, am I? It's just I'm currently getting about 10 a day. 8 of them are from my girlfriend. It's the 2 from my mum that really hurt. No matter how much you give a homeless person for a cup of tea, you never get that tea. Throwing acid is wrong, in some people's eyes. Swimming is good for you, especially if you're drowning. Oh yes, not only did I get a cardiovascular workout, I also didn't die. My father used to say, whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Till the accident. People say modern art is pretentious, but I look at it like this. I went up to the airport information desk. I said, how many airports are there in the world? It's all very well going on a round-the-world trip on your vacation. Where are you going to go next year? I bought one of those round-the-world tickets, $1,200, amazing value. 37 hours later, I arrived back. This part of the show goes out to all the fine hoes and bitches in New York City. My favourite news story of the last year was a story concerning a hiker, a rambling outdoorsman from Australia. And he was walking in the outback of Australia, the deserts, and there was a rock fall, and his hand was trapped underneath a boulder. And he had to sever his own hand with a knife in order to walk to freedom. Incredible story of human courage and spirit and what it is to be a man. And I can't believe anyone saw that story and didn't ask themselves the question, would I be able to do that? Well, I've given it quite a lot of thought, and I think, yes, I would be able to do that. What do I care about an Australian's hand? The other amazing story in the newspapers last year was not quite as inspiring, but there was a story of an English woman and an American man flying from JFK to London Heathrow, and they'd never met each other before, flying in first class, and they were arrested as they came into land at London Heathrow. And the reason they were arrested is because the lady was filleting the man. I mean, off. Yes, as they came into land, the lady was filleting the man. I, myself, prefer hard candy. I just can't quite imagine how that happened. Presumably, at some point in the flight, she turned to him and said, "My ears are popping. Have you got any hard candy?" And he said, no, I haven't, but I've got an idea. Now, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, ladies and gentlemen, but it's been tornado season recently, and I saw a couple being interviewed on CNN. And the reason they were being interviewed is because even though a tornado was coming towards their house, they refused to move, even though their house was on wheels. And they were being interviewed by this very nice anchorman on CNN, and he had his arm around his wife, and they said, "Why aren't you going?" He said, "God will protect us." And I thought, who do you think is sending the tornado? When people say they hear voices in their heads, as opposed to where exactly? Hearing voices in your legs. Now that would be crazy. I live quite near a remedial school. There's a sign outside. It says, "Slow children." I thought, well, that can't do much for their self-esteem. But look on the positive side, of course, they can't read it. Now, Mel Gibson has upset an awful lot of Christians. I don't know if we have any in this evening, but he's upset an awful lot of Christians by making this film The Passion of the Christ. And the reason he's upset them is because Mel Gibson's made a film about the life of Christ, and he's tacked on a silly Hollywood ending where the hero comes back at the end. If we're all God's children, what's so special about Jesus? If you eat a lot of spicy food, you can damage your sense of taste. When I was in Mexico last year, I was listening to a lot of Michael Bolton. Sting, the popular singer, Sting's often bragging about his 8-hour-a-night sex sessions with his wife Trudy. Imagine how long he could keep it up if she was a looker. Does anyone in here listen to hip-hop music? Right, I've got a question for you. When they say in hip-hop songs, as they invariably do, put your hands in the air, like you just don't care, surely a better example of apathy would be not to bother. Send a salami to your boy in the army. I would have thought some sort of munitions would be more in order. Now, women reach their sexual peak after 35 years. Men reach theirs after about 4 minutes. Which is, I think, why we get more done. Now, when I used to have a job, when I had a proper 9-to-5 job, I was always very jealous of the women that I worked with because they had the best excuse for taking a day off sick. We all like taking a day off sick once in a while, don't we? And women have the best excuse. It is, of course, women's problems. And the reason women's problems is such a good excuse is because women's problems is the end of a conversation. Why didn't you come in yesterday? Women's problems. I like to think if I was the boss, things would be rather different. Women's problems? Breasts or genitals? Maybe I could have a look. Feminists say, and you may agree with this, you may not, feminists say, a woman's work is never done. Maybe. If they got themselves organised, it'll be better. Ooh. It's a bit of an icy stare you're giving me there, madam. What you've got to understand is that's postmodern misogyny. That joke is, in fact, steeped in irony. So don't you worry your pretty little head about it, love. I was filling in a questionnaire. It said, who would you most like to sleep with, anyone living or dead? I put anyone living. Ladies, if you get a burning sensation when you pee, it could be one of three things. It could be a urinary tract infection, it could be a bushfire, or it could be someone's talking about your vagina. My girlfriend's reading a book at the moment. It's one of these sort of new age things. It's called Women That Love Too Much, which I think could have the title shortened to Sluts. My girlfriend said, have you been having sex behind my back? I said, who did you think it was? And by the way, it wouldn't kill you to look round once in a while. Check how I'm doing. I was reading in Jugs magazine, very interesting and informative article. It was about the difficulties of asking your partner for anal sex. It was entitled, What If She Takes It the Wrong Way? Sorry, madam, I can see you're shifting uncomfortably there. I didn't mean to offend you. I'm sure whatever you decide about anal sex, I'm sure he'll be right behind you. So I can't help but notice, sir, you've got a bald head. I'm not breaking that to you. You knew that, right? Do you read New Scientist magazine by any chance? I do. You do read? Did you see it last January? They had a very interesting article. It was about why men go bald. Apparently, it's too much male hormone. So, my advice to you is to stop swallowing. Boxers don't have sex before a fight. Do you know why that is? They don't fancy each other. The reason old men use Viagra is not because they're impotent. It's because old women are so very ugly. I don't know if you've seen this, but the company that makes Viagra, they're making this new inhaler that they say will give a man an erection within 30 seconds. Correct me if I'm wrong, that's a job. You do tea?
Sure.
No wonder you all drink coffee.
I remember before J-Lo, before the term ghetto booty, when we used to just call it a fat ass. You know that question you get asked, and I'm sure all the men will recognise this, you get asked occasionally, does my bum look big in this, by your partner? I've discovered the worst thing you can say is not yes. The worst thing you can say when you're asked, does my bum look big in this, is, let me step back, get it all in. My girlfriend used to get upset because I left the toilet seat up. So I don't do that anymore. Put it down. But there's no winning with her. Now she gets annoyed because it's covered in piss. Have you ever been asked to do the dishes and you've done a really bad job just so you don't get asked again? My girlfriend does the same thing with jobs. I've got a friend, he picked up 2 girls last week. I said they're like buses. He said, yeah, you wait ages and then 2 come along at once. I said, no, they are like buses. Someone came up to me and complained about that joke after a show last week. Quite a big-boned girl. She said, I think you're fattest. I said, no, no, no. I think you're fattest. Anyway, these men that like women who can't leave the house fat, they're called chubby chasers. I rather like that term, chubby chasers. I just wonder how much chasing is actually going on. A little bit of waddling and wheezing, then gotcha. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a pleasure talking to you this evening. I don't have much time left, but I was wondering, would you be interested in seeing some Jimmy Carr merchandise? Yeah. Well, excellent, good. I think you've made the right decision, otherwise we'd be having some quiet time now. What I've gone for is the comedy T-shirt. Some Jimmy Carr own brand comedy T-shirts. I'll show you. See what you think. This is the first one that I designed. What do you think? I think it's rather good. It's a... Oh, hush now. Hush and I'll explain. It says I'm with stupid, so the idea is you wear it and then the person looks. And then on the back it says, the National Association of Special Needs Carers. This is the Christian Alliance Against Bad Language. Can f*** off. This next one, this is the most popular T-shirt in the world. They've sold more of these than any other. Jesus loves you. He's not in love with you. This is the sort of thing you might see down in Florida. World's greatest lover. If speed's important to you. Actually, a couple of weeks ago, I failed to perform sexually. I'm not going to go into details, suffice it to say, I arrived early. And my girlfriend said, don't worry, that happens to a lot of guys. I said, there's 2 things the matter with that. Firstly, who are these a lot of guys? And secondly, if it's happening to more than one of us, don't you think it could be your fault? Well, this is the last one. I'll have to leave you with this, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know if we've got any fathers in. Anyone a dad? Well, this one's for you. It's world's best dad. I f*** your mum. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm afraid that's all I've got time for. You've been a brilliant audience. Thank you very much indeed, and good night. Thank you. Hello, I'm Jimmy Carr, and that was an old clip of me. That happened in the past when I was funny. I'm still funny now. Come and see me live on tour. Join in. IRL. Yeah, kids.